Yo, 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 how's it going, everybody? What's good, what's good?
Yo.
So, I'm still actually working out the, Achara's face is all covered up by SYNTELL's, there we go.
I see you working out. We been seeing the guns, man. I mean, you definitely been getting it in, my guy. You're bat sexy.
Bat sexy.
I'm still figuring out all this shit here.
Speaking of bat sexy,
Y'all.
like, I guess I didn't even think about Robert Pattinson's physique for this film. And I heard that he's that type of guy who doesn't really give a damn about,
Where did you hear that?
in media outlets.
About getting swole.
Yeah.
I can believe that because he's not swole in the movie at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very skinny Batman.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You don't have to like Hulk it up to be Batman. You can be like regular skinny guy Batman and still kick ass. I like it.
Someone tell me why Zoom's control thing is like so aggressive. It like takes up like a third of my screen. I can't get rid of it.
I am vengeance.
It's so annoying.
So I think he's skinny too because this is a very emo film. It's a
Yes.
very we're definitely going to get into it more into the details.
Yeah.
But it's very emo. And you don't really see chunky, thick emo people, right? Kurt Cobain wasn't doing squats and deadlifts on his music videos. It wasn't about that.
No.
And this Batman kind of admits that as well. But but he's fit though. You can tell that he's fit.
Yeah. Definitely.
He's just not chunky.
I just buy, I buy it when he's beating up those guys, but when you complimented Jaby's guns, I was like, wait, hold on. That wasn't something that I was particularly like, oh yeah, Arpats. Looking good, dude. I was just like, yeah, Arpats. Looking as good as you normally do, dude.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he is he's a handsome man, and it wasn't distracting.
Yeah.
So I remember when George Clooney and Val Kilmer were both cast, and there was that concern about George Clooney's Batman. Like, he looks the part for a Bruce Wayne. He looked like Bruce Wayne. But it's like, is this the ER version of George Clooney? Heartthrob George Clooney.
Yeah.
He didn't necessarily pull it off because he was still a little ER George Clooney at the time.
Yeah.
I actually went back and watched that scene the other day when he goes, "Hi, Freeze, I'm Batman." And in the trailer, he goes, "Hi, Freeze, I'm Batman." Because George Clooney had this head shake for the longest time, and he couldn't get rid of it. And I watched that scene, and they actually cut that head shake out of the movie. I was like, oh, shit, okay. That was weird.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
But Patterson has been like reinventing himself for quite some time since the days when he was the sparkly vampire.
Yes.
But
I'm never gonna forget.
People get intense
Right.
whenever you bring that up. People get intense, like he's not Twilight anymore, okay? He's past it. I'm like, damn.
I'm like,
Relax.
I just feel like, you gotta pay respect to the things that got you to where you are.
Exactly.
It's like no shade, no hate on Twilight. And honestly, there were times where his pale skin, because he's a night creature, in the Batman. I'm like, going back to your roots as a night creature in Twilight. Not mad about it. Like, you don't sparkle. You're very emo. He was emo in that movie too. But,
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, he got the emo thing down. When they had his little shirt reveal, when you got a chance to see the scars on his back and stuff like that, it's like, Pat, you could use some sun a little bit.
Yeah.
But you are a creature of the night. He's supposed to be. Yeah.
Exactly.
All of that is supposed to be that way. It's just it's just fun to talk about.
Kavish Sharma says, if Batman next movie will be like No Way Home, like Multiverse, Christian Bale, Robert Pattinson, and Ben Affleck, will be very nice.
Wait, what?
If the next one is a multiversal Batman film.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that though. I feel like
Christian Bale's not coming back, yo.
Why?
He's not coming back as Batman. Are you kidding me? He's done.
He's past that
He's
too.
way
He's
past
done.
it. He's never coming back. You couldn't pay him enough money to come back. There's just no way.
And not only that, I'm sure he still feels some kind of way about, of a franchise that he carried and didn't fully get the credit because of The Dark Knight, because one performance out of a trilogy pretty much took all his thunder of his version of carrying the film. The Joker was just that good. And I don't think he wants to go back to that.
Wait. What do you mean? Can you elaborate on that?
Oh,
Yeah.
we're talking about. Oh, you're talking about Christian Bale. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of. No, it is Christian Bale. I'm tripping. He was outshined in his own movie.
Oh, by
Joker.
by Heath Ledger.
By Joker. Yeah, by Heath Ledger.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He damn straight he was, because the Joker was
absolutely
the
outshined.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and in some regards, maybe even Bane might have outshined him a little bit too, as well.
I really liked Bane.
Whatever. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a
So,
popular
I don't think
opinion or
people see
not,
that.
because I know he had a funny voice and all, but like I really liked him.
Yeah. Hey, his voice when it first came out, everybody had jokes, but then after you've watched it like 7 or 8 times, and most people have watched most of Nolan's stuff at least 3 times per movie, it kind of grows on you. It's like, okay, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Christian Bale wouldn't even be the best Batman in the trilogy.
Potato stuff.
Don't
Don't know why, but at the end, him saving and leading people somehow brought tears, and it wasn't even an emotional scene. How'd you feel about that, yo? Because so finally, we
jumped the shark for me.
we can like let's jump back into this discussion here, because I've been futzing with the OBS stuff, trying to get that all sorted out.
Yes.
Okay, so how y'all doing? So just for a full disclosure of what's our experience with the movie, I watched it twice, once normal, once IMAX. Achara watched it in IMAX. SYNTELL has watched it once.
Yeah,
And so I personally really liked it the first time I saw it. The second time I saw it, I realized I loved it. And Achara said you really, really liked it as well.
I liked it a lot. I want to
Yeah.
see it another time. We have some people here in the chat who watched it like 3 or 4 times already.
There are people who I've seen in the comments who watched like 5 times, yo.
Wow.
And so SYNTELL is on the opposite end, which helps balance out the conversation. He liked it. He thought it was a really good movie. It did not surpass The Dark Knight for him. He doesn't feel like he needs to watch it again.
No. It was very well done, well directed, well written, definitely shot well for as many dark scenes as it is, because it is a dark night. It's very dark. You can barely see a lot of stuff that's happening. But it was still very good. Is it the best superhero movie like some people are claiming? Hell no. I don't even know if it's not even the best in its own franchise. Dark Knight still holds the throne. But it is very good. I think it is the second best Batman movie. I think he is the best portrayal of Batman out of all the Batmans that have held the mantle. Robert Pattinson's version is the best one.
Yeah.
You have an interesting dichotomy of like feelings about the movie.
Well, no, I mean, I think I will agree that I really like his portrayal of Batman, that kind of like tortured, lots of trauma, really dark Batman. It was interesting or refreshing even, that in this film they did not really focus on the Bruce Wayne part of Batman all that much. So I'd be interested to see how he tackles Bruce Wayne, because right now his Batman and Bruce Wayne feel like very much the same character, whereas generally I feel like when you watch Batman, Bruce Wayne and Batman are 2 different people. Bruce Wayne is the very confident playboy, billionaire guy, super charming, suave, all that stuff. And then Batman is like, I own vengeance. He gets in there, gets it done.
Gets in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought up a very good point. You are very true. Even some of the worst renditions of Batman, there is a very good dichotomy between the 2 characters. Whereas in this version, they are very close to the same people. But this is what I think is like his 2nd year on the streets. Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly.
2 years on the streets.
Yeah. So
So
I'm not
he
mad about
hasn't-
it.
He hasn't realized that he has to wear the mask, and the mask is Bruce Wayne. The real mask is Bruce Wayne.
Right.
And he hasn't learned how to properly wear that mask just yet.
Yeah. Because, that's part of his identity as well. But for a movie being the Batman, you definitely got a shit ton of Batman. you know,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yo, that's actually a really good point to bring up. Is that we don't often get like this much Batman in a single film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually like
He
from
was
almost
wearing a hell
wall
of a
to
suit.
wall, it was like a lot. It's like, damn, like it was a lot of Batman. Because like if you remember in Dark Knight Rises, I'm gonna just use that Batmobile as the background. In Dark Knight Rises, like it was like what, 30 minutes of Batman in the entire movie? It was something crazy
Was it?
small.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
it was not that much Batman in the entire movie. So, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was-
So we got a lot
like,
of
right from the-
Batman, and
almost
I'm
right
not
from the
mad about
get-go.
it.
Right from the get-go. What's interesting to think about is that by this point in time, he's already caught Joker. He's already put Joker in the Arkham Asylum. So that's the assumption anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say, but we're assuming that he puts him. Like,
There's a
he's
deleted
in there.
scene where Batman goes to Arkham Asylum and talks to the Joker and asks him for some assistance in understanding what to do here. And they cut it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad they cut that out though.
I'm not.
I think that was a smart move.
I think they should have had it in there because if you're gonna have the second, like what is in the movie is the second Joker scene, right? For
Right.
us as the audience in the final product, it appears to be the only Joker scene, but it's the second one.
Right.
And if you're gonna have that one, you should have the other one too. That's my feeling about it, because otherwise, don't have that second one. That second one just looks like a tease for Batman 2.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be though, right?
No, it's not. According to Matt Reeve, I don't know. There's a lot of different information floating around. One says that Matt Reeves just did that to say, oh well, it's just to indicate that Gotham's still, a dangerous place, and that's something about the future of Gotham, which sounds like a fucking sequel to me. But hey, what do I know? So
Speaking of Gotham, though, I thought that this was my favorite portrayal of Gotham City that I've seen
Chicago?
in a movie to date. Like, was it Chicago?
Gotham
It's
City.
typically always
Yeah,
Chicago.
Is it?
Gotham City's always been Chicago. Yeah, I mean, even Joker in the Dark Knight, his accent was the Chicago accent.
Oh, that's so funny. I didn't know that. I guess I'm not like your hardcore, like I know everything about Batman fan. I just like watching the movies and some of the cartoons and stuff.
Okay, so we've got some supers here.
Yes, go ahead.
So let me respond to Potato Stuff because I haven't responded to him yet. He says, "Don't know why, but at the end, saving and leading people somehow brought tears." For me personally, like I don't know that I got tears in my eyes. I don't know that. I mean, what is that?
Oh, sorry.
I don't know that I cried watching the movie, but I definitely felt emotional, especially in that scene when like it's an effect of cinema though. When you have something dramatic happening and you cut out all the sound and you just have the music going, it automatically somehow is emotional. I'm not sure why that is, but when he goes to catch the electric line and cuts it, I got the sense that maybe Batman would die, and that's why like it felt emotional for a moment. And then when he was leading the people out, the first person he grabs is the kid. That's why it's emotional, because the kid is representative of himself, the child who lost his parents. So because that kid throughout the film, that's the kid that lost his dad.
Yeah.
Then we got Supod Gorpade. Thank you for your super. Seamless Thorns. I swear that is Torns. Seamless Thorns. I don't know what that name means, but cool. The first entry of Nolan's trilogy wasn't as good as The Batman is in its debut. My only complaint is Joker's introduction.
I agree with that.
Please comment on the score. I have, since my non-spoiler review, have kept meaning to talk about the score, and I haven't. I keep forgetting to bring that into the video. I thought the score was fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially during that sequence when the Batmobile, when you first get a real good sense of the Batmobile, the engine revving and stuff like that, you see the fire coming out the back of the car, and Penguin's just looking like, oh shit, this is it. It's about to go down. And so he asshauls to his car, and the music just kicks in fucking strong, and it was so much machismo. Like, I just loved that score. It just felt so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, whenever the boom, when you saw the car hit, I'm like, oh, this is the best.
Yeah. I mean, it really is rousing. Such a brilliant score. I don't know how you can't hear, like, the Darth Vader theme or whatever that song is every time you hear that, because I'm always like, ba, 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 ba,
Yeah,
ba,
the
ba,
Emperor's
ba.
March.
Yeah, like I love it though. Like it's so strong, and yeah, so good. I even like the Nirvana music. I thought that was just like a really nice touch as well, because it just kind of emphasizes the whole grunginess of Gotham and the movie. So I thought all the music choices were absolutely top notch.
Let's see. Why is this person? Oh, okay, hold on. We got a super here. This is from Dwayne Jackson. When Batman injected himself with that adrenaline, did anyone else think that was Bane's venom? No, I didn't think that. Did you think that? So, for full disclosure, you guys, I haven't read.
I didn't think it was adrenaline either.
I haven't.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what it was. I was like, some green
I thought it was
shit.
combat stems. Yeah, I thought it was combat stems.
So I haven't read the comics in a long time. SYNTELL, I imagine you have read comics more recently than I have. I don't know if you,
probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I've read some. Yeah,
I did read Batman Year One and The Dark Knight Returns, but I read those a while ago, and I don't know how much that impacted. I know that those comics did have some influence. I know that The Mask of the Phantasm had influence, and Seven certainly, and Zodiac had influence.
Definitely Seven.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but he's openly he's been very open about his influences on this movie. So I forgot. So with regards to him injecting himself. Whatever that was, it was like a fucking Mario mushroom is what that was, because it brought him back to life. So
in a big bad way.
It's like the specific of whatever that juice was didn't really matter to me. What mattered to me was he had his utility belt and he finally used it. And
yes, that is the most important part.
Yeah,
we finally got to see him pull something from his utility belt, and that was that moment for me. I was like, it took 2.5 hours for us to finally get to the utility belt, but he got there and it was the combat stems. Well, we think.
But like this Batman has been he has had the most utility, so to speak, of all Batmans since like Adam West. It feels like, because he actually goes into his belt. He actually has like proper stuff. He's got a squirrel suit as opposed to like a proper wingsuit.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like it. It just, I like that he's got everything planned out. Like, he is a super smart guy, although he doesn't get everything.
This music is not fitting the mood. Can we skip this song? I don't know why it's in my playlist. It's just too.
I like that song.
That's probably why it's in there. Okay, so
that's my dancing song, but yeah.
It felt unusual. This is from Sundish. It felt unusual when Alfred called Bruce by his name, but not Master Wayne.
Yeah, it's a different Alfred, isn't it? Like, a lot of things are a little different.
Well,
this one taught him how to fight.
Yeah, I mean, this one from the trailers, when I looked at him, I was kind of like, oh, he's different. First of all, he's not as old as Alfred is usually portrayed. He also has that really gnarly scar on his face. So you're like, wait, what? Who are you? That you're a butler? Why do you have a scar on your face? And then it turns out that, maybe he's less of a butler and more of a bodyguard that became a butler when Bruce Wayne's parents died.
Vishal says, as Achara said, this movie... Okay, go ahead, man. I want to... Go ahead, respond.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I'll make it real quick. Well, he's Bruce Wayne's dad. I mean, his father figure.
His father figure,
so you're not gonna be like Master Bruce to your son.
Yo,
that's how it's portrayed.
Shout out to GOM Films.
Woo!
GOM Films is here. GOM Films does these dope ass dubs where he takes trailers and movies. He even did one. He did one of my brother as well. Because after Spider-Man No Way Home, there was this internet sense that basically it was over. All the hype was done with comic book movies for a minute, and so Greg it was like this thing making fun of Greg, going, I guess that's it. Now I got to react to everything. And so they were reacting to the Wheel of Fortune and to the weather, and to this is all stuff GOM Films compiled. He put it together and made it look like they were getting excited about the weather. It was a great video. If you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out. We did a reaction on this channel. Potato stuff. There's so many unused villains that has potential to show up in sequels. Clayface, Hugo. Oh, shoot, I missed it. Hush, Court of Owls, Mad Hatter, and so on. I think we're definitely going to get Court of Owls in the next one.
Oh, God, I hope so.
I feel like that's definitely going to come. They tried to keep it under wraps in the Vanity Fair video interview, where they were talking about fan theories and whatnot, because they were responding to fan theories. It was an interesting video that only a few people watched. Like, the original got 250,000, and then our reaction got about 10K. And so, or 13K or something like that. But anyway, in there, they're asked about Court of Owls. And it was an interesting moment because the person reading it was Jeffrey Wright. And he goes, something Court of Owls. And he just kind of looks at them like he has no idea what the hell a Court of Owls is, right? And Paul Dano and Robert Pattinson were like, what? You don't know what the Court of Owls is? Oh, my God. And they lose their shit for a second talking about Court of Owls and how amazing it is. And Robert Pattinson's like, that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to explore.
He hasn't quite,
he has a terrible poker
He hasn't
face.
got to Benedict Cumberbatch levels of trying to keep it under wraps. He needs a Benedict Cumberbatch to be like, shut up, boy.
Yeah. He's got a terrible poker face. Mr. A. Attack trailer reaction when waiting. I don't know what
It's coming. Don't worry.
What is
We'll get
that?
it. It's a new trailer
Is
for
it
the Indian channel.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay?
Chuck Bertowski. I like the movie so much that I watched it 3 times. See, I think you got to watch it again, dude. I think you should watch it at least one more time.
Well,
I'll see it again. I'm just not gonna put any effort to see it again. I will definitely see it again when it comes on.
I'm gonna fly out to Denver and put
on
Sintel
FX or something.
put Sintel in a wheelchair. Wheel him up. I'm not putting any effort into watching this movie. You want to take me?
If it flops in front of me and I'm like, oh yeah, definitely the Batman. I'll check. Yeah, I'll see it again.
If someone pushes me into the theater in a wheelchair, I'll go watch it again.
if I do not have to make any effort.
If I don't have to lift myself from the couch, people pick me up and put me in a chair and mobilize me over there. I'll watch it again. I'm not opposed.
Carry me, just carry me.
Yeah, just carry me over there.
Fine.
Seamless thorns. I'd have loved it more if Joaquin Phoenix Joker was connected to Matt Reeves' Batverse. Also, the age difference between Joker and Batman is a crucial point. I know so many people really enjoyed Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
It was good.
And he's a damn good actor. And that was a very painful portrayal. I don't ever want to see that again.
They're coming out with a Joker 2, though.
I know, and I have to watch it.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And I'm like, that was
I'm not
special.
sure.
Why are you ruining it? It was special because it was different.
Because it was different.
Yeah.
Well, saying that, I'm more like, I haven't even watched it yet because I'm kind of afraid. I just feel like it might be too much for my heart to handle. I'd like to see it, so I'll make some time to watch it at some point.
Let's
I'm
put
also like, why a part 2?
Let's put this to bed. So, GOM Films asks, I'm confused. Did Riddler know Batman as Bruce Wayne? No, he did not.
No.
There was a very, very subtle
did not.
moment
I was confused too.
where Riddler goes, Bruce Wayne is the only one we didn't get. And Batman has a look of, you don't know. You don't know. But it was like all very subtle. It's kept under. Batman's got a great poker face.
Yeah.
Chuck Protest.
It's
Yo,
helpful.
the look of shock on his face, though. You can see it. He's like, oh, shit, I got caught. It's that moment when you come in at 3 a.m. and the light clicks on and your lady's sitting there. Where were you?
Yeah.
I was at the bar.
Yeah.
He's having drinks.
Chuck Protowski. Shar Patreon hangout this weekend. What you missed?
Yeah, quite likely.
Keshav Sharma says, Robert obviously looked great as Batman, but I felt he didn't look like he's really rich.
I'll tell you something, Keshav. Really rich people often look like they're not really rich because the really, really rich people have stopped giving a shit and they literally just wear crappy clothes because they don't care to show off. So, I mean, that kind of works.
Yo, rich people in Los Angeles just wear yoga pants out. Rich ladies, they just wear yoga pants out and about, like workout clothes. That is their outwear, is workout clothes. That's how low key they keep it. Jaby, I don't know if that's how you say that. Jaby. Good day from Australia. It's currently
G'day.
3 a.m. And I've seen the Batman 5 times.
5 times.
Goodness.
It just came out Thursday night.
So here's the interesting thing. When my brother when my brother first got tickets, I was stoked because he got us IMAX tickets, right?
Yeah.
And so the movie's 3 hours. And so I was like, I don't know that I want to watch this 3-hour movie 3 times because that's how many instances that we were booked up for. And so once Warner Brothers was like, hey, we got you screening stuff, I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to let these other tickets go because this is a long movie. I don't know that I need to see this multiple times. And then I saw it once on my own with Court, and then I saw it with you, and then I had tickets with Greg for IMAX. I'm like, you know what? I got so much work to do. I've seen it twice. I don't want to see it a third time in this close proximity.
We'll watch it again for sure.
We'll watch it again, but not this close to the other 2 instances. Because every time I've done that, I felt exhausted by the end. I did that with Justice League. I did that with Avengers. And I'm like, I don't need to do that with the Batman. I want to cherish this and come back to it happy and fresh. Of course, that is the instance where the Batman himself shows up to the screening and is like, hello, everybody. Thanks for watching my movie. And I'm like, fuck! And so I'm just so mad. Greg's posting all about it on Instagram and whatnot. I'm like, God dang it. Of course I missed that.
You have chosen poorly.
Apparently, he had like eye makeup and stuff because he just had the cowl on and everything. I'm just kidding. That would have made my day.
What?
Seamless thorns. I think Colin Farrell's my favorite Penguin. Colin Farrell is the definitive Penguin. Colin Farrell to Penguin is what Heath Ledger is to Joker, for me.
Facts.
That is a good analogy. I will, however, say that Danny DeVito holds a very special place in my heart as the Penguin. I loved that movie as a kid, and I loved the Penguin in it. I cried every time the death scene happened, and like the penguins waddled out and like took him away. I'm like, what?
I don't remember any feelings about the Penguin for Batman Returns.
Oh, I really liked him.
Yeah.
I just thought like, oh, poor Penguin.
I was watching some clips on YouTube the other day for Batman Returns, and there's that scene when Michelle Pfeiffer cleans herself, where she like licks and I'm like, this is such a weird movie. How did this ever get past the executives?
That movie.
They're all caricatures.
Yeah.
All of them. The whole movie is just caricatures. I did love how they still made Colin Farrell waddle like a penguin, though. I loved that. I was like, that's a great ad, and it was very subtly done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
very.
like, okay, thank you for that. Yeah.
No, for sure, yo. Yes, I am a nerd. Did you guys like Affleck's or Rob's Batman performance more? Because for me, Rob killed it, especially with his performance through his body and eyes.
Yeah.
Yo, like, Robert Pattinson's acting with his eyes is off the chains. Like, he knows how to do a lot, like, right in here.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Because it takes so much restraint to be an actor who uses stillness to his advantage. Because, like, I fall temptation to, or prey to, like, having to, like, do a lot physically, because I'm naturally a physical gesticulating kind of guy, and so whenever I'm given a script, I'm often doing that, and Achara's like, yo, like, be still, stillness is your friend, and Robert Pattinson has that down pat, you know, and it's like, it's all just here where you're seeing his expressions, his response to everything. I'm like, god damn, like, I feel whatever I don't know what he's feeling, but I feel it, you know?
Right.
It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And then Akshay V. Hey guys, my question for you three: which villain from the Rogues Gallery would you love to see in the sequel?
In the Rogues Gallery.
I don't.
Hold
Yeah.
on, give me a second.
Who's
You caught me
in the
off.
Rogues Gallery?
What are our options?
Whoa.
The Joker, Killer Croc, Mad Hatter, Man Bat, Harley Quinn, Catwoman, Clayface, Bane, Mr. Freeze, the Penguin. I had a special soft spot in my heart for Mr. Freeze from the cartoon. Scarecrow, Two-Face, the Riddler, Ra's al Ghul, Poison Ivy, the Penguin. Man Bat.
Man-Bat. Yeah. I've never heard of him.
I don't want to see the Joker in Batman for a long time. I can tell you that much. I can tell you who I don't want to see. It's the Joker. I don't want to see the Joker for a while. When they showed the Joker in the Batman, I got irritated. I'm just like, yo, we literally just had a new Joker. Like, I don't want to see this guy again. Like, I don't want to. Like, now you got a third. We had Heath Ledger, and then we had Jared Leto, which is easily forgettable. And then we had Joaquin Phoenix, and then you got a fourth one in less than 10 years. Or 12 years?
Right.
Like, I just don't want to. It's actually been longer. Man, time flies. Fucking pandemic. So, like, 14 years. In 14 years, we've had now our fourth Joker. Right?
Yeah.
And like, for me personally, I've said this in the spoiler reviews and stuff. It's in my brain, and maybe this nostalgia. It's still Heath Ledger and Mark Hamill. Like, those are the two Jokers that reign supreme in my head. While Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal was interesting, like, it doesn't replace anything in my mind. You know, I wouldn't want to see that Joker in the Batman, like someone said earlier. I don't want to see the Joker.
I disagree completely. I think that's the only real one that you can have.
I don't want to see any Joker.
Based on the world that's already been created, this particular world, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is the most believable and the most transferable to me. Because all the other ones are a little bit over the top. Of course, you can't have Nicholas. What's his name? The very first one that Batman 1 and 2.
Jack Nicholson.
He's way too old now. Jack Nicholson, yeah, he's way too cartoony. Bale's probably wouldn't work because he's a little too over the top. So I think this one, if you were to bring him over, I think it would be a very good fit, as opposed to probably any of the other characters.
I agree with you. I just don't want to see it. I personally don't want. I don't want Joker in there. Like, there's so many. Yeah. It's almost like every time we come back to Star Wars, we're dealing with the Skywalker family. Every time we come back to Terminator, we're dealing with the Connor family. This is such a rich universe, and you keep coming back to the same characters. Why? But why? Like, why? There's so many. I just took a glance at the Rogue Gallery. I'm like, there's so many people here. Why do we keep going back to the same guys? You know what I'm saying?
I think maybe Two-Face too, because we haven't really jumped into the into the quirkiness of some of Batman supervillains.
Yeah.
Right now, everything is still based in a world of semi-reality.
Yeah.
And if you like jump the shark and go Clayface, have people that can change their face, it would seem like it doesn't really fit in the world that's already been established.
Right.
So maybe somebody like Two-Face, a lawyer that's been turned, and as a result of his scars, he works with Penguin because Penguin's already been established, and you still got that crime family element going on. So I'd probably say Penguin.
Okay. The Recovery 716. The Batman would be better than The Dark Knight if it wasn't for Heath Ledger's Academy Award-winning performance, better than Begins and Rises for me. So, on that, thank you for your super, by the way. On that, someone said something about how, someone said something interesting. The Dark Knight is Joker's best movie. The Batman is Batman's best movie. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting way to put it. In
that's
terms
a good
of
way to put it.
In terms of, because if you think about it, I don't know. For me, Robert Pattinson's Batman is so much more interesting to watch than Christian Bale's. Just by and large. It's just so much more interesting. And I've always felt a little bit funny about, Batman from the Dark Knight trilogy. I just accepted it because it wasn't going anywhere. I'm like, okay, it's cool. Like, it's fine. It works. If we're not getting anything else right now, so
I
always
always found his voice really funny.
His voice was always funky to me. Like,
what?
I just remember, this is me being completely honest with y'all. In Batman Begins, when he first started talking, I giggled a little bit. Because it was just like, why is he talking like that? He just sounds like weird. And the first time I properly saw his face, when what's-her-name looked at him, because he's like perched up on a railing or something like that. What's her name? Tom Cruise's ex-wife?
Oh, Katie
Holmes. Kate Holmes looks at him, right? And you get the first proper shot of Christian Bale. I thought his face looked like a football with the helmet and everything like that. It just looked so goofy to me, and I laughed. I laughed, and I have to keep my comments to myself because everybody else was like jerking themselves off over this movie. I'm like, whoa! Like everybody loved Batman Begins, and I was the only one who had negative things to say. And so at the end of Dark Knight, I went with Michael and Robert and all those people, and they all kind of looked at me because we had the worst seats in the house because everybody needed to see this movie, right? And at the end of the movie, they all looked at me like, what'd you think? Because they all were prepared for me to hate it. I'm like, oh, I loved it. I thought this was great. Like The Dark Knight, from the first showing, from the first time I watched it to today, it's like, I love the movie. But it was because of Joker. It was obviously because of Joker. Joker's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, he gave a legendary performance. Legendary. One of the greatest superhero performances of all time. But I'm not taking anything away from the Nolans. Yo, it was super well directed. The pacing was absolutely incredible. That script was brilliant. Everybody showed up. It's just that the Joker, on top of it already being a work of perfection, pushed it into legendary status. That film is damn near flawless. It took years after the fact for people to start really chipping away at it and be like, all right, this didn't sit well with me. Because it was that good.
Oh, how hard did you cry when Rachel died?
Yeah.
But the Batman, it feels more like the indie world of superhero films.
It does.
It's a different muscle that's being worked.
It does.
I love it. I love it for that, though. I love it for kind of taking that more indie route and just being like, no, this is what we're going to do. And I think it's so cool that the audience has really accepted it, that
this got like $250 million. It definitely accepted it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so and obviously now Warner Brothers is just like, Matt Reeves can do no wrong. Please make more Batman films and more, content in the Batman universe. But yeah, I really like it. I saw someone say in the comments earlier that they thought that the movie was boring.
I can understand that.
Yeah, and I do.
I understand why people felt that way. I loved it though. Go ahead. What were you
Yeah,
gonna say?
exactly. I was gonna say, like, it's something that I can understand if you're not really open to the kind of the pacing of it and the darkness and the way it's shot and all that. I think that, yeah, I can see why you might say, oh, it's boring because it doesn't really feel like your typical superhero fare that we're used to seeing at the cinema these days.
So you're saying the Batman feels like indie, right?
Yeah.
The Batman was made for $200 million. The Dark Knight was made for 185. Just so y'all know. Just for
Yeah, but that was how long ago was
Inflation.
that? Inflation.
Fucking inflation. It still costs more. I'm not gonna pull out my calculator, but you're right. I mean, it works out to being about the same then, because 185 in 2009 or whenever it was, it's about 200 mil today, right?
Probably. Yeah.
Probably.
Like that.
Yeah.
If you had inflation. Yeah.
Okay, so we got some supers I got to get to before we get.
I just want to quickly, because we missed Max Vem, and he's been asking for a long time what my go-to blush is. This is nothing to do with the movie.
Why are you responding to it?
But he
then?
sent a super chat.
Okay, well, let me get to that super.
Okay.
Has it come up yet? Okay, here it is.
No,
right
it's
here.
we're ahead.
Max Vem. Achara, what's your go-to blush? On fleek always.
I appreciate you noticing. I don't have a go-to blush, but today I am wearing Fenty Beauty Daiquiri Dip. There you go.
All right, so I might have skipped a couple supers by accident. Let me see. So, yes, I am nerd. I don't know if we properly responded to him because he asked, did you like Affleck or Rob's performance more?
Rob's.
Of course, I liked Robert Pattinson's performance more. There are people who are very, very partial to Affleck, and I cannot figure out why. Like, to me, Ben Affleck played angry Ben Affleck in Zack Snyder's Batman. As you know, Zack Snyder's Batman.
Yeah.
What I mean to say, and like he bulked out for it, and so he had the size that I guess you come to expect with Batman.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can really give him credit for, because I remember watching him in Girl Gone or whatever, Gone Girl.
Girl Gone.
He had the Batman size on him because I think he did the movies about the same time. So he was bulked out. Like he definitely bulked out for Batman. Like that I need to give him credit for. But that's about it.
I've always felt that, like, Ben Affleck, I'm always like, hashtag not my Batman.
Yeah.
Like, I just find his performance very forgettable as Batman.
What about you, man?
Well, I thought he brought what he could with the script that was delivered. He didn't have a lot of arc that was written for him. Whereas Patterson's Batman, he had a full arc. Like we got a chance to see and really watch him change and grow. I just think that the Ben Affleck wasn't afforded that chance. He was chained by the script to stay the same person throughout.
Perhaps, yeah. Maybe if he'd been given like a better script with a better character arc for Batman, then maybe he could have done better. Because he is like a decent actor, great director.
He's a better Ben Affleck's a great actor when he's directing himself. Whenever someone else is directing him, I don't like his performances as much. But like he directed himself in The Town, and he was great. I thought he was great. I've watched him in Argo.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good in Argo. Like every time he directs himself, I think he does a really good job. So that's beside the point. Yes, I am nerd. I just want to thank you for super chatting twice in order to get my attention. Let me see. We were at that one, and then potato stuff. I feel for you for missing Robert like that. I once saw Rithik up close, just inches away from me, but he left without having a selfie. Did you ever miss meeting a celebrity or later regret that? Yeah, I the only other instance like that I had was with Conan O'Brien. Did I tell you about that?
No.
Okay, so I don't want to bog down the stream with that. So the quick and dirty version is Conan O'Brien had a documentary playing at independent theaters, and I decided to go a day later because of a friend's scheduling conflict with the day I wanted to go. And the day I wanted to go, just it happened to be that's when Conan O'Brien was there, and I missed it. And so it made me sad because I'm a big fan of Conan O'Brien.
The one that I regretted was Jason Momoa. Well,
I met him.
I met him, but I wanted a picture. And the picture I got was shitty the first time. And then I met him again. I was lucky enough to meet him twice. But I was so shy to ask him to take a picture with me again. And some other lady asked him. And I was like, oh, I'll go ask him. And then his security person came up to me and was like, no, you can't. I'm like, but she did.
Yeah, you gotta get in there quick. The Recovery 716. I want Mr. Freeze as the next villain. He's a tragic character. Giancarlo Esposito would be a great Mr. Freeze. Wow, that'd
Whoa.
Wow, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be
and Juan Carlo can do no wrong.
Yeah, he's
His career
great.
is flawless.
You know, looking at the Riddler and how basically he was Zodiac, because I don't know like real serial killers that well and stuff like that. Like, how do you make the Riddler real? Like, how do you bring that into reality?
Well, they did a great job with that in this movie.
Well, the thing is, they literally just used Zodiac. They're like, okay,
as a template, yeah.
You know, Riddler, someone who leaves clues and whatnot. What kind of person does that? The Riddler. Okay. And
like the Zodiac killer,
Zodiac
yeah.
and the Riddler going together, like merging that character taking Zodiac and making him into a character that is the Riddler actually works very effectively, in my opinion. I know that some people were like disappointed by that, but I thought it was awesome. I don't know how you do that with I would love to see it, but I don't know how you do that with Mr. Freeze. Like, how do you make that real?
Yes, that's what I was saying earlier about the realistic elements of the world that's been created, and then when you start bringing like the fantastical in, it's counter to the world that's already kind of like been established.
Right.
So I think you got to deal either with something that's already established, like Penguin, you know, as a mob boss, or the next upcoming mob boss, and you still maintain that level of realism. But the minute you start bringing like the fantastical, I'm not sure if Matt Reeves' vision is going to maintain under that stress.
Right. Yeah. So let's see. Alex Rajala. After Riddler shows pics outside the club, wouldn't an average detective investigate the POV from which they seem to be taken? Later, they say he was right there the whole time, but a bit weird. Loved it otherwise. I guess that's fair, but I think the assumption is that literally those pictures could have been taken from anywhere in that area. There's a lot of apartments there. There's rooftops there. It literally could have been taken from anywhere. And I think the assumption is whoever took those photos was bounced. Like, they found a spot, took some photos, and left. Kind of like, you know, Batman spying on Selena Kyle. It's not like he lives there. He just showed up with his binoculars.
That's true, but I guess it is a good point that they didn't really show any sort of investigative work where they were like, oh, well, let's try and see what the vantage points might be, because that makes sense, you know, like...
It would have bogged down the movie, though.
Yeah, it was already a long movie.
It was already slow. Yeah, it was already slow. Like it's... But you know what? You brought up something that I thought was really interesting and really uncomfortable, and that was the voyeurism of Bruce Wayne or Batman when he's spying on Catwoman. And I thought it was necessary, but it was really uncomfortable too, because you're sitting there watching like this very emotional moment as she's like trying to comfort a friend, and then there's the changing room where it's the changing of her skin per se as she turns into Catwoman, and it's just like, ooh, I'm like, there's a part of me that's like, you should be looking away while she's changing, but he doesn't. He's like intent, is because it's not about that. It's about, I need to figure out who she is and what she's about to do. I thought that was just really well played.
You know, there was an interesting moment like that for me with the funeral scene, because my brain just went to a weird place, because in the funeral scene he's like straight up staring at this kid, and this kid looks at him like, okay, and he's staring at a child. Now, I get the context of what's going on in Batman's head, but you remove that context, he just looks like a weird guy who's like a predator. He just looks like a child predator.
He does.
He's so intense. He's so intense. That's why. I mean, yeah, if it was real life and like not having the context, you'd be like, why is Bruce Wayne staring at my child?
Yeah.
Should I be worried?
Exactly.
Please stop staring at my child.
Yeah, you're the eccentric billionaire. You know how they get.
Yeah.
He's missing his Love Island. You know about that conspiracy, the Love Island? I don't want to bog
what?
With that. I mean, I don't know what it's actually called. I just call it a Love Island, but it's the sick conspiracy for people who are like high up, upper echelons of society, where they I don't want to talk about it. It's
like
some dark shit.
the Epstein stuff?
Yeah, the Epstein stuff. I don't want to talk about it.
Ladrak 1.
Hopefully I said your name correct, or your handle correctly. Dark Knight is a better superhero movie to me, but the Batman is a better film. That's a good argument. That's a good argument. I did think about phrasing it like that, but if you watch The Dark Knight, I mean, it's literally shot on film, and The Dark Knight is extremely cinematic in the way that it's conducted. So it's like, it's hard. It's a difficult way to... I don't want to categorize it like that. I mean, I get where you're coming from. Thank you for your super, by the way. I get why you're categorizing it like that, but like The Dark Knight moves that camera, and it does very interesting things with that camera throughout from the very beginning. Like there's a helicopter shot coming towards a building, like, and you're like, what are we looking at here? And then there's an explosion because the Joker's guys are getting to work because they're gonna rob this bank. Like the way it sets everything up and the way it pays off with the bus leaving at the end, and then the Joker's reveal with the mask, like everything about that was fucking cinematic, and that's a film. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so it's like, I don't know. They're both films to me. They're just different kinds of films.
They're different, yeah.
You know?
Both very, very good.
Seamless Thorns.
I'd love Dave Bautista as Bane.
That's an interesting
Dave
choice.
Bautista's too old now. I think he's too old for that now.
He probably is. I will always love, what's his name? Tom
Hardy?
Hardy's performance as Bane. I love the voice he created.
I know.
It's so ironic
Iconic.
to me. It's ironic and iconic because it's like, he's this big old guy. Nobody cared who I was until I put on the mask. It's like,
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been memed to pieces,
Yeah.
but that's how much of an effect it's had in super villain culture now.
Yeah.
Super villain lore.
I would love it, and I think he would be open to it if Tom Hardy actually came back and they just found a way to like make it fit into Matt Reeves' universe. Like, I would love to see him reprise that role. Like I think he'd be dope, and he's so good at what he does. He could find a new way to play it.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You've Luthra.
I loved Avengers Endgame, my favorite movie of all time. Nothing topped it until I watched The Batman, and it became my favorite movie of all time.
Wow.
Those are like two
Very
different.
different.
Movies. Like I don't
Very
know.
different films, yes. They're both
great
in
films.
comics. They're both steeped in comics. That's about the only thing.
Yeah.
Only commonality they share.
Yeah.
You've Luthra.
Every time the Riddler spoke, oh my God, it sent chills down me. Like I could feel that horror vibe of Paul Dano, especially that three Riddler
Yeah.
scene. So
He was chilling.
Paul Dano's performance had to grow on me, if I'm being completely honest. Because initially I was like, I don't know. But then by the end, I'm like, you know what? He did a very, very good job, and I bought into it. I know that for you said you had a very, very interesting comparison because you told me on the phone. As soon as his mask came off, the mystery went away, and I was no longer interested. And you compared it to Star Wars Episode 7.
Kylo Ren effect. The Kylo Ren effect.
What's the name of that one?
Yeah.
I don't know which. The number
Episode
7?
Episode 7. I forgot the name of it all of a sudden.
Yeah. I don't.
But anyway, Star Wars Episode 7, Kylo Ren's mask comes off, and like the mystery goes away. And
Yep.
I remember feeling that as well when I watched Star Wars Episode 7, but I didn't feel that here. Because I guess because the trailer set me up. Because I always knew the mask was going to come off because he turns himself in.
Right.
So, and I actually liked his performance when the mask was off. I liked it more because I got to see his expression. Because he had this moment where the cops pin him down, and he looks at Batman in the window, and he's got this creepy smile, man. Like that smile made me it gave me the heebie-jeebies. His smile was so uncomfortable. Like he's very expressive.
Yeah.
And then in the jail scene when Batman's like basically giving him the lowdown, like, yo, you're crazy. Like, you just a nutcase. And he's like, no! And he's like so upset.
I love
like,
that scene.
The way he's like, this is not how it was supposed to go. It was like a guy on a really bad date. I loved his performance in that moment. I thought it was great. Like, the way he pulled that off I thought it was fantastic. So I disagree with you, but I get where you're coming from.
It's both versions of Kylo Ren in Episode 7, like you said. Everything was great. They took the mask off, and you're like, oh, is this guy? And also, like in Episode 9, when he's having this, also Episode 7 as well, when he has this temper tantrum, and you're like, damn, this is a lot different than the cool, awesome,
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader-esque person that you brought at the beginning. I felt the same way in the cell when they were in jail, and he's spazzing out, he's freaking out. I'm like, this is definitely a Kylo Ren moment. It's almost the exact same thing to me.
Well, I loved that whole like unhinged aspect to him, because when a lot of the time when you kind of have people like this in real life who are like so crazy,
they're egomaniacal.
Yeah, they think that they're actually like, oh, I'm best friends with the celebrity that I'm stalking, because like they speak to me in their movies and like this makes sense. And I thought that his performance like totally played into that of like, no, but we're on the same team, Batman. You're my friend, right? And it's like, Oh my God, dude. You're crazy. This is why you're in Arkham Asylum, because you're nuts.
What do you call that? That the issue, like his ego. What do you call that problem? It's a
Narcissism?
narcissism. Yeah, exactly. It's a narcissistic issue, and I think that with narcissism, those freakouts are very real. Like that is how you would freak out.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. Like it feels like he flew off the handle maybe too much for you. But like in watching it, I'm like, this feels about right. Like this level of crazy, this feels about right. Like I feel like this is how he would act. And he had a lot of hills and valleys to his performance because, like, there's that moment when he comes in close. He's like, "Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were." Like
Yeah.
I thought he did really good.
That was funny. That
Yeah.
was a funny moment. Yeah.
Yes, I thought he did a good job. I like Paul Dano in that moment. I mean, Paul Dano's an actor that's really had to grow on me over the years because
Oh,
I remember
really?
watching him in There Will Be Blood, and I'm like, damn, this guy's a lot. But like after watching the film like 2 or 3 times, I'm like, okay, I get why he's performing it this way, and I like it. I think that his voice gets a little like pitchy for me sometimes, and I think that's what messes me up more than anything. But like I like him now, like I really like him now. And then what solidified it for me was watching his interview with Vanity Fair. He's a chill guy, like very quiet, very reserved. And he just comes out as this person in his performances. I'm like, oh, like this guy's a really good actor.
Well, and also, like, I just find his look so fascinating as well, because he's another one of those actors
He's a
who,
weird looking dude.
yeah, he's kind of strange looking, and I like it. You
Yeah,
know,
works.
like
That's what
he's
gets him
just-
work.
Yeah, he's captivating to watch.
Yeah.
I've always been captivated by his performance as anything that I've seen him in.
YT God.
Rob's Bruce has chance for development and others didn't.
Well, yeah, I guess also it's because of where he's at in his story.
Yeah.
You know, he's still so new to all of this, and that's why it's so fascinating to start it here. I also appreciated that they didn't do the whole, like, backstory and spend time on that, like the scene of his mom and dad dying or whatever. It's
Oh,
like,
you
yeah,
don't think we
know.
needed that again? I thought we needed like that, but like longer. Like just
Just
watching
like
them
half the
die.
movie?
Like 20 minutes of them just dying on the ground, writhing in pain, and Bruce is just like, no.
No, why couldn't I do anything?
I wanted it to be like the opening of one of that X-Men movie. I forgot which was. There was an X-Men movie where Wolverine was a kid. I think it was the Wolverine one, where he literally looks up at the camera and goes, "No." I'm like, damn.
Are you, or is it Magneto?
No, it was definitely Wolverine because he accidentally killed someone with his claws.
Oh no, yeah, because he killed his lover. That's right.
I forgot. But anyway,
Yeah.
someone was asking, what did SYNTELL think? By the way, super chatters, I'm going to get to your super chats in just a hot sec. They want to know what you thought of the car chase sequence. This is from Prakash Kumar.
Oh, really good. I love the music. I love the car. The car is just dope because the whole
Beast.
thing is like, this is vengeance, you know, and I love that vengeance is hard metal and parts on the table as he's like, you know, piecing together the Batmobile himself, and bits of it looks raw,
Yeah.
and kind of like scarry and red, and flames are shooting out of it. So when we got a chance to see it like really unfold with the music going down, and it's like, yes, this is Batman automobile-fied, I guess, if you had to make him into an actual vehicle. It was great. Very well done. It was fun.
I never thought I would come across a Batmobile that I enjoyed more than Michael Keaton's. Because like Michael Keaton's Batmobile for me has so much nostalgia with it. Like that's been my favorite Batmobile up until this movie. Now I'm like, I didn't know you could have a Batmobile that looked less like a Batmobile and be cooler. Like, you know what I mean?
You know what? I also like really liked. Like, I don't even like muscle cars that much. They're okay. They're fun to drive in, you know?
Yeah, I saw this. I'm like, I need to buy a fucking Mustang. now.
Right? the sound. It's like, raw. It's like a freaking beast.
Yeah.
When I loved how like they really gave that presence. Maybe it was because we were in the IMAX screening as well, and I was just like, oh my god, it's like all around me.
Yeah.
I love it.
Everything about this Batman is so dope, though, because it's like everything is practical. Like, it looks like he gutted that car and just put in what he needed to make it work for, like, however he reinforced it, and the rocket in the back of it, all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is a billionaire who, like, repurposed everything. How he got that squirrel suit to fit inside of his outfit, I have no idea, but it looked cool.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that was one of my favorite moments too, is like, in the Batman movie, he has to fly, right? And everybody's taking like some real big liberties with it and touched even on the edge of the fantastical. And this version of it was, I applauded it. And I love the fact that he ate shit too. Like at the very end, I appreciated that. I was like, because you're in a squirrel, so it's not like, you got like some soft crash pad that you're gonna hit. He hit a truck, hit the ground, and then kind of like limped off like that. That is only a last ditch measure.
Yeah.
Actually, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you for that. Yeah.
And you see his face too. Like he runs up to the edge, and it's kind of like this moment where he's like, "Fuck, I gotta go."
I don't want to do this.
Yeah. No, that was great. No, that's exactly what I got from that. That was a last ditch effort kind of thing. The only other scene I can think of that I felt that same feeling was in Collateral, when in terms of like realism, there's a scene where Jamie Foxx like has this moment of this come to Jesus moment of like, oh, this guy in the back is right. Like I've been just wasting my time for 10 years, and he crashes the car, and your expectation is the car's gonna explode.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. It just crashes. And it's just like this moment where it just kind of sits there, and I'm like, okay, like it's a real moment which would otherwise be this explosion because it's a Hollywood movie. And this was like very anti-Hollywood in its approach, because normally Batman's got these wings, like somehow the cape erects into wings and is able to just like, go around and glide and land smoothly because he's Batman.
Batman.
But this was not smooth. At all. Yeah, like it was unplanned. Like he bumps between the bridge and the bus. And I was like, oh shit, like this is real. Like if this was a real dude, like that's probably how it would go down. Like how do you test this out? How do you don't have the where can you test out the squirrel suit? You live in Chicago. Where do you test this out?
It might have been the first time he tried it. He might have just been like, shit, okay, well, this hasn't been tried yet, but let's go for it.
Yeah.
But that's what I really liked about his costume as well. Like, I just thought that everything seemed like something that he put together himself.
Yeah.
It wasn't too perfect, and I just really liked that kind of rough around the edges Batman costume that we got with this. I thought it was so cool.
The only thing that kind of threw me about the car chase sequence was, and I let it go because it looked cool, was the fact that you had all these trucks exploding and no one gave a shit. It's like, okay, so Batman's got like, it's all about saving everybody, but like a whole bunch of randos just died. Like
maybe they just got a little bit hurt.
No, but the thing about it is, like, if you think about the setup and the end of that scene, it kind of doesn't make sense, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because it was Matt Reeves giving into the Hollywood temptation to make this epic, and I needed that for this movie. Like, I needed that scene. I needed it to play out exactly how it did because it was fucking cool. But, like, the beginning of it didn't make sense, and the end of it didn't make sense. The beginning of it, he's, like, revving up his car to scare the Penguin. I'm like, but why? Like, you literally could just go and get him, and you're doing all this theatrical nonsense with your car. It's like he was literally just standing there looking at you. All that time you could have bagged him.
Yeah, I'm sure the Penguin can't run that fast.
It doesn't make sense, but I'm okay with it. And then the end with the trucks exploding and whatnot, I'm like, you just created a whole bunch of traffic jams and fender benders, yo. Like, all this, and then you just let him walk? Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I just was so happy with the visual, how stimulating it was visually and audibly between the car revving and the music. It was so moving that the flaws that it came with I didn't care about.
Well, someone earlier on in the chat had mentioned, how it did seem very Fincher-esque, the way the movie was directed. And do we think that Fincher would have been a good choice to direct this? And I think maybe no, because this had like a good balance between that like neo-noir, but then also providing us with the cool superhero stuff like action that we want to see in the movie. So I think that it was like a nice balance.
I don't think Fincher would want to do it because Fincher doesn't typically do PG-13 films. But I do think that if he was able to do a PG-13 film, it would probably look something like this. Have you seen Fight Club? Like, Fincher is actually very versatile. Like, he's very good at doing like that
amazing
cerebral stuff. Like, he's really good. I think he also did Panic Room, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, he did? Okay.
I think he did Panic. I can't remember if he did Panic Room, and that was hold on.
Fight Club still holds up.
Who
That's which is crazy.
directed-
Yeah.
I know as a man, now I'm not supposed to like Fight Club because of its overly masculine tones, but that was a hell of a movie. I think he would do a decent Batman.
He did Panic Room. He did Panic Room as well.
Okay.
And
I
I
stand
think,
corrected then.
Yeah. So Panic Room was also interesting, but he only does rated R movies though. So I don't think he'd want to do the Batman if he couldn't make it R. So okay, let me catch up on some of the supers I've been missing out on here. So
Sergeant H.J.
without subtitles, the speech was incomprehensible. That's might be because maybe I don't know why that's incomprehensible for you. For me, I could understand everything that he was saying. We were talking about the jail scene, the Arkham Asylum scene.
Oh, okay.
I was loving the Penguin chase scene, but didn't know why he was being chased. We'll wait for OTT release. And then
Uwe Luthra.
the cinematography and score was incredible.
Yeah,
I agree
it
with
was.
you.
Agree.
Chuck Patelski.
Quan, please tell Trey to watch English Vinglish.
Okay.
That's an off-camera thing we got to talk about.
Uwe Luthra.
Okay.
That scene with Alfred in the hospital killed me.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, he didn't kill Alfred. So,
Yeah, because he could take, full-blown C4 explosions to the face and kind of just shake it off.
Hey, he threw it
he
away.
tossed it. He tossed it.
Yeah, that's C4. Yeah, okay, yeah, no. No.
He figured it out.
No.
He frisbeed it.
No, don't try to. Yeah, it's just take it for what it is. He survived, and we'll just keep it moving. But all that, well, he could have rolled. No.
He's a smart man. Okay.
No.
He figured out the ciphers.
I loved Alfred though, but get back to the super chats.
Here's the thing about to what SYNTELL is saying. There was smoke coming out of the building. And
Yeah,
you go in, and
was
the
pretty
fire
okay.
department was there. Like, that place got wrecked. And for him to just have a couple scratches,
He had a couple scratches.
I mean, it was a little bit funny. But I just didn't want him to die. So I was like, I'm gonna let this go. I'll allow this because I don't want him to die.
Jean-René Jacobson.
Thank you for your super. I think this movie is special in its own way. It's the first movie, I think, where they really focus on the fact that Batman is a detective. Didn't get that feeling from the Dark Knight movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I totally agree.
now, to be fair, Nolan did try to inject some detective work in The Dark Knight. There's this whole scene, this incomprehensible scene, where he's, like, looking at the bullet, what do you call that? The bullet,
Casings?
Trajectory.
I don't know. He took a piece of wall out, and he showed it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the ballistics.
Yes.
The ballistics,
checking
thank
the
you.
ballistics,
And then he
yeah.
like fired off like different bullets or something like that, and compared the ballistics and all that stuff. And Alfred's like, "Could you make it any louder?" Like the joke. Like that's how I remember that scene. And then somehow he used that to track down the Joker. I'm like, I followed none of this, but the movie's gonna keep on going, just like it did when Bruce Wayne jumped out the top of the building and landed on the car with the Katie Holmes replacement. And the scene just moved on, like
He kept it moving.
it's like what happened upstairs with the Joker's like up there with all those with the old
Yeah.
guy and all the
Yeah.
people.
But they had that moment here too though, because when he leaves the police scene, and I'm like, it's like 50 cops, and you just ran out the front door. Just no, that's it. We just cut, and then he just got away. I was like, where that? Oh, okay, all right.
He
sure.
flew a good distance. There was no way they were gonna catch up to him, dude. He flew clear across the city. Like, I mean, what are they gonna put an APB out on Batman? Like, where are they gonna find him?
No, that's true.
You
No,
know.
you're right. You're right.
I think that they did a little bit of a better job here than they did in The Dark Knight. Like, there were some weird contrivances in The Dark Knight like that. We just let go because the movie looks so cool. That's the thing. So
Right.
Potato Alliance.
The mayor's wife and son possibly had the worst week. First, the father died. Then a car burst through his funeral. And finally, the whole city flooded in the mayoral win party where they were present. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a rough.
They're going to need some therapy for years. Like, literally.
That family, F that family right there.
But you know
catch
what
all
they
these
say about things coming in threes? So they had their 3 tragedies. They had their 3 bad things. So on the plus side, it can only go up,
Yeah, I guess. So.
you know? Because it always comes in threes.
A flood is a pretty epic tragedy. Like, the whole city the whole city.
Lucky for them, they live high up.
Okay, can we talk about that? Like, to me, it kind of felt they jumped the shark a little. I was like 75% of the movie. It was amazing. I was blown away. I was like, this is amazing. And then the flood happened, and it just seemed like it just went kind of left to me. I just wasn't expecting that tone from this detective piece it was Seven, it was Zodiac Killer, it was detective, they're breaking all these clues, and then it went to Noah's Ark, like real quick.
I mean,
it just seemed a little wonky. It didn't seem like those pieces meshed the last 30 minutes of the film.
I mean, that for me was an epic head in the box. So,
okay,
you get the reference.
Mm-hmm. What's in the box?
The head in the box.
In Seven?
Oh no, I don't miss that one.
Seven.
I don't know that reference.
So,
okay. That part. Yeah. What's in the box? That part.
So in Seven, what's his name turns himself in. The killer turns himself in because he's already won. He knows,
right.
like he has this all sort of planned out. And so the reason why Riddler turns himself in is because it's a safe haven. He knows that it's kind of contrived. Okay, it's a little bit contrived because, like, surely there's other safe havens as well. But for whatever reason, Arkham Asylum is definitely a safe haven from the flood, and that's why he's like, me and Batman can just hang out here.
Yeah.
while the flood happens, and then presumably Batman will help us escape. I think maybe that's what was in his mind. For me, the flood worked, and maybe it's because they showed us the flood in the trailer. Again, like if I didn't see the trailer, maybe it would have been weird, but like. He just seemed like that resourceful, that crazy, and he had his followers too, because like presumably all these people are talking to each other in cahoots. He didn't have to set up those bombs himself. He could have hired people to set it up,
Right.
So I don't know. To me, it worked.
Okay, so maybe my problem is this, and it was what is the very first Superman movie when instead of fighting the main villain, he's fighting a bunch of rocks, and you're like, I want to see a villain fight. You didn't really get a villain fight because Riddler is locked up, and now Batman's fighting something that's just been introduced to me in the last 30 minutes of the film is the big bad that he has to fight. I didn't want to see Batman fight a flood. I didn't want to see him fight some mercenaries that I have no emotional attachment to, and I'm just rolling away. I want to see him fight,
Yeah, that was something I pointed out. Abhijit Moore, you said I missed your super chat. We're gonna get to the supers in a second. That was something I pointed out in my spoiler review, which is we don't have a showdown between Riddler and Batman, but that is a, how do I put this? That's sort of an anti-Hollywood, anti-superhero move on Matt Reeves' part, and he was really borrowing from Seven in that, like, how unexpected would it be if Riddler turned himself in, and he never even fights Riddler, but he has to fight the influence of Riddler. And that to me is actually quite scary because, if you think about, how do I articulate this well? I haven't eaten breakfast. So the scarier thing sometimes isn't the leader of the cult, but the cult itself.
Right.
Like the influence.
The cult lives on.
The cult lives on. The fallout, that's scary more than anything else. Like whoever started the thing is not anywhere near as scary as the influence it takes and the shape that it takes as a result and the impact it has on people, the world, whatever it might be. Like you look at religion as an example, right?
Right.
Whoever started any religion that has had any major impact is not here anymore. They're not the scary part. The followers are the scary part. And so to me, that was frightening that he had this kind of influence and these people were just going to show up like, who the fuck are these people? Like
are these people? I've been walking with you for 2.5 hours in the dirt, finding clues to find the Riddler.
No, I get you, man. I get where you're coming from. Believe me, I get where you're coming from because it's very anti-Hollywood. I get where you're coming from, but to me, it is frightening and it correlates to real life because this is a left-wing kind of thing. I'm centrist, okay? So let me just explain the left perspective for a hot second because there is some woke agenda in the movie, and I don't mind it because it's a dope movie. But if you look at the election when Hillary and Trump were going up against each other, when Trump won, the left was like, who are all these people? Where did they come from? I thought we were just battling Trump. And it's like there was 80 million people that the left they just forgot about. And so I think that kind of thing is sort of playing into the movie. It's like these are the forgotten folks, the people who feel forgotten, and they become scary. They become a big fucking threat if they stay forgotten because they remember themselves and then they band together and then they fight you.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too deep into it.
No.
So
I mean, I think the 7 thing with the box, but even in the 7 argument, Kevin Spacey still got his head, blown off.
it's a Batman movie.
There was still a direct, still you're the bad guy and we're still gonna deal with you. I don't know.
No, I get you, man.
It's still a good movie.
Yeah, I get you. Okay, so
Potato stuff.
that's so fun to think that Bruce looks at the signal, runs to the bathroom, and applies the black shade around eyes before suiting up.
Yeah, I've always wondered, apart from Superman, because he has super speed, so he can change really quickly. But everyone else who's just like kind of moving at normal speed, it's like, how much time does it take to get ready? Plus, you gotta.
Here's the thing that threw me off. Okay, Batman is on the roof with the bat signal and Catwoman, and the crooked cop and Gordon, Lieutenant Gordon, right? Mm-hmm. Catwoman bounces. She's like, "I got 9 lives, bitch," and she runs. Or
Yeah.
I forgot what she said. She kicked the guy, and then she runs off. And then Bruce and Gordon catch the crooked cop and pull him back up to safety.
Yeah.
And Batman's got to go get to the club, right? He's in his bat suit. Okay, he goes to the club looking like Bruce Wayne, with the eye makeup. Mm-hmm. He knocks on the door. The guy opens the door. No one's there. It's like, who knocked on the door? And Bruce sneaks in. He's not even seen. Why did he change back into civilian clothes just to change back into the bat outfit?
I didn't think about that.
That was the weird thing to me in the movie where I'm like, that's just a bit inconsistent. Like, it doesn't make any... Like, why didn't he just stay in the bat outfit if he was going to do that? That was the only thing that sort of threw me. I'm imagining there was a scene that was deleted because this movie was longer before.
I'd love to see, I wouldn't mind seeing the longer cut.
There must have been a reason why he was in civilian clothes. There must have been a reason. Because as it is right now, that doesn't add up.
Right, yeah.
And so I'm just imagining there was a deleted scene. Anyway, the music cut out.
Okay.
Or no, it's still there. Okay, so
Shravan Hejmadi.
thank you for your super.
Yuv Luthra.
Dano also used his breath in a perfect way.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably direction as well. Be like,
Mm.
breathe. It's creepy. It's creepy as hell.
Shravan Hejmadi.
When Batman entered through the tunnel in the subway station scene, it reminded me exactly of Bear Jew entering the first time in Inglourious Bastards.
That's interesting.
Sure. I mean, the whole point of that is it feels like a horror movie villain. That's why there's a similarity there, because that you could probably see Jason Voorhees. What was his name? Jason.
Don't know his name.
Jason Goes to Hell. What's his last name?
Jason Voorhees.
Jason Voorhees. I'm sure you see him show up like that, at least on one occasion. You see Chucky show up like that, I'm sure, on one occasion. Like, it's a horror movie trope to have the monster show up like that, just like kind of creep up before it does some damage.
In the shadows.
That's why the Bear Jew is scary, because like he comes out I think with his bat or something like that, making noise, and then Batman just walks up looking like a monster coming out of the shadows.
Well, yeah, like I said, or I forget if I said it in my review or somewhere, but I was like, this is the first time that I actually found Batman really scary.
That's interesting,
Like-
because people felt that about Batman in Batman Begins. Because if you watch the entry scene, he's moving around like a monster.
Well, maybe I just don't remember that movie as well, but this time I was just like, oh my god, like Batman is very, very terrifying.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well,
like,
I mean, he unloads.
Yeah.
He's got some aggression. The way he beats the guy. I've watched that moment like 20 times. He's just like pounding in. I mean, it's like, I think you got him. Like, you know?
that's for my family!
Yeah.
The trauma.
Licked. What's that? Lickith.
The green serum, which the Batman injected him at the climax, could it be an Easter egg for Bane's serum?
I don't know.
Could be.
know.
It could be.
Yuv
I
Luthra.
can see a good segue with that.
Paul Dano's cute. I said it. He's cute.
You said it. He's
I don't
cute.
agree with that.
He's cute in his own way.
You
know, I'd give him a cuddle. Why not?
All right. He looks like He looks like a predator to me.
Oh,
He's got that look about him, and he knows it.
that's why he gets cast in these roles, you know?
Seamless thorns.
Johnny Depp as Mad Hatter, Giancarlo as Mr. Freeze, Keanu Reeves as Deadshot, Barry Keoghan as Scarecrow would have worked better.
Yeah.
Jaby Koay as Batmite.
Batmite.
What the fuck
What's
is Batmite?
Batmite?
Who's Batmite? Who's Batmite?
Actually, you know, Keanu Reeves is Deathstroke, an old Deathstroke. That could work. That's hilarious. Look at Batmite.
Are you trying to show that?
No, I wasn't. No. I wasn't trying to show, but I guess I will. This stupid Zoom thing is in the way. Let me get this out of the way. Where is it? This is in the way. That's Batmite.
That's cute. That's really cute. What is that? Oh, we have the wrong picture.
Oh, what? Why did that happen?
There we go.
What did I take away?
Okay.
Why did that happen?
I don't know.
Oh, it's because of this. There we go.
There you
go. Hold on. Let me get back to the supers over here. And then, where are we?
Zoë Kravitz.
I've seen many people who are saying it's better than Nolan's. Nolan's trilogy targets normal audience who are just a fan of good movies, and this one is much suited for those who like dark movies. I'd say
on my timeline, a lot of people are saying this is the best Batman movie ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen that pop up a lot. So there's that sentiment.
I mean,
I don't agree with that though.
It depends how you look at it, I think. Because the thing about it is the Batman is how do I put this? The Batman really focuses on Batman. And and his method, his process of deduction, right?
Yeah.
The Dark Knight, I just got swept up in looking at Joker, and just it's the spectacle of that movie, you know. Whereas this movie was really focused on Batman and on what he was dealing with in a very personal way, and so in that regard, I feel like it is the best Batman movie. But what is the most fun movie is The Dark Knight. You know, I think that's the easy way to put it. So
I just saw someone comment just in the regular chat, which I thought maybe was worth discussing, about do we agree with what Riddler said about Bruce Wayne being an orphan and how that's different? I might be butchering that.
I brought that up as a Thanos effect. Go ahead.
Yeah, where the villain kind of makes sense a little bit, right?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still a horrible individual for doing these deeds, but there are aspects of some truths that you're like, he's actually making some sense. Yeah.
Well, the one thing though that I would say is like, while I understand like the Riddler's thinking of, you know, oh, you weren't really an orphan because you had a silver spoon in your mouth. Like, I was an orphan. Like, I had it bad. And yes, you had it bad, but like, hey, trauma's trauma. Do you know what I mean? Like, just because your trauma was like you had to be in an orphanage and it sucked. Bruce's trauma, he's also an orphan. That sucks too.
Yep.
Like, it's not, you know, the same, but still, like, it still sucks.
Here's the thing. We've outside of the movie, we have spent several movies like reliving Bruce Wayne losing his parents, right?
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, during this movie, we're spending the whole film with him just being dark and rage and
like
because
he's
he lost his
never
parents.
gotten over it. Yeah.
It wasn't until that scene that we think, oh, like there's more going on here. We just didn't even think about it because we're so focused, like with tunnel vision, on poor Bruce Wayne in his ivory tower. And when Riddler said that, I was like, whoa, there's like a lot. There's a huge scope of information here that we've been neglecting to consider. And not only that, it correlates to real life in a very profound way, because like that will happen in real life where we're so focused on like the Kennedy family, right? Like, oh, like the Kennedy family, how we feel so bad for them because like so many Kennedys have been killed, which fucking sucks. It's sad.
I mean, it doesn't negate the fact
that's
that
genuinely
sucks.
sad.
Yeah,
that is genuinely sad. However, there's a lot of people in the world who are suffering all the time at the same time that one of these things happens. And we're always caught up in these like epic high profile tragedies, and we're neglecting to consider like everybody else, like that person in New York who was dead in the street and people were just walking over.
Right.
You know, like there's lots of that and no one is talking about that. And so I thought that was actually quite profound, that scene, like to have that in this movie, in this superhero film. I'm like, that's actually really cool. And it has a Thanos effect because I was like, Riddler's making some good points. And I don't feel good about this. you know? And it's uncomfortable. That's the thing. Now, at the end of the day, he's still crazy. He's doing dark, bad shit. He's a psychopath. And like just like Thanos is a psychopath. He's committing genocide.
Yeah.
That's why I call it the Thanos effect, because when he first says it, you're like, that makes sense. But then you stop and think about it for
Riddler.
10 more seconds, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense.
You know, and also it doesn't help that the orphanage was named after the Waynes too. On
Yeah.
top of it, right? Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like Batman discovering all this stuff. I like that in the end. You know, his dad isn't actually the bad guy that he was afraid that he actually was, you know, that Paul Dano's Riddler was kind of saying, oh, you know, the renewal fund and like Thomas Wayne was bad or whatever.
All that shit spoke to me, man. Like I look at that, like I look at real life with what do they call it for minorities to get positions in colleges?
Affirmative action.
Affirmative action. It's like there's all kinds of stuff in real life that's supposed to appeal to minorities and whatnot, so the Democrats can get their vote. But I think a lot of it is theatrics. A lot of it is it's just bullshit, so they can keep lining their pockets.
But I think, like, had Thomas Wayne not died, that renewal fund actually would have been put to some good.
If JFK hadn't died, the whole history would have been completely different.
Sure,
But,
yeah,
like-
but like that's the way it went. Thomas
Yeah.
Wayne died, and then
But
they corrupted the renewal
but
fund.
JFK like dunking bitches' heads in the tub. So like he was some crazy guy himself. Like the thing about it is we like to look at JFK, Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi. We like to look at all of them like and put them on this pedestal,
Right.
And go, they are untouchable. Not untouchable in the Indian sense, because I know we got a lot of Indian viewers here. Not untouchable in the Indian sense, but untouchable in the sense of like they are godly.
Yeah.
Right? It's like they are all human beings with their own flaws. And so, and in this particular movie, the conspiracy is the flaw was huge. Right?
Well, yeah, that he was trying to cover up.
He was trying to have something covered up, and he sent a mafia guy to go attack this person, just like completely ignoring the possibility the guy might die. Like,
Yeah, that's the part that kind of was unsettling to me. I'm like, you hired a hitman, and you're shocked that he killed the person? Like, would you think he was just gonna
Rough him up.
take
No,
him
yeah.
up and be like, don't you do it again?
Yeah. No,
Like, what did you think was gonna happen? Like,
I think that's what he really thought. I think he was so naive that he thought that he could just, you know, tell the guy to go talk to him. But like, there's no talking. It's like, no, you sleep with the fishies tonight, so you don't talk.
right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine. Look here, in defense of the movie, I can see someone in that position getting desperate. Like
Yeah.
you get irrational, and you're like, okay, what do I do? How do I resolve this quickly and not put
Right.
blood on my own hands? What are you doing?
sorry.
I did.
Sorry, I gotta.
Oh, look at
it
those
feels
guns.
So good. It's so satisfying.
I
Okay.
did enjoy that. Well, at least for me, because I haven't read the comics, I didn't know that Martha, his mom, was an Arkham, and so I liked that kind of connection between the Waynes and the Arkhams and all of that. So I thought that was really
All
interesting.
that old money.
Yeah,
old
all
money
that
being
old money.
used in messed up ways. I did like that they kind of hinted on that. And then like let's not forget that like when they went back to the old orphanage, like it's a crack den
It was
now.
seedy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you still haven't cleaned this up, and you can't blame your daddy. You around. This is in your
Yeah.
name. Like,
Yeah.
this is on you, my guy.
Yeah.
It's like what Bella Real said, like,
That was
you know,
the
what are
first-
you doing?
I'm glad you brought that up. That's the first instance in any Batman movie that I feel like we've seen people be seedy since the first Batman film with Tim Burton, where you saw those guys on the rooftop and Michael Keaton attacks them. Those guys looked really seedy and gross.
Yeah.
That was the first and last time we saw like that skeevy-looking guy, those types of guys, until this movie.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, let me catch up on some of the supers because like there's a lot. Ishan Panala. Speaking of There Will Be Blood, did you watch Licorice Pizza? I did, and I enjoyed it. I don't know that I need to see the movie again, but I did enjoy it. It was an interesting film. It was very
I want to
slice of
watch
life.
it.
Abhijit Moore. The character arc from this city might not be worth saving, but I need to try.
Might not be.
What did I say?
Might be.
This city might not be worth saving, but I need to try. To the city needs hope, and I need to be more than what I am. And Lady grabs his arm in the climax. That broke me in tears. I mean, yeah, that was a quite.
It was.
Those were moments that we never got in a Batman movie before, for sure. Danny Longlegs. It strikes me as really bizarre that Batman is able to continue to work with the policeman after assaulting Gordon in the middle of a precinct.
That is right.
That's called white privilege. It's the reason why Batman doesn't cover his entire face and shows this much, just to let you know I'm still on y'all's team. Don't shoot me, because I promise you, had T'Challa done that, they'd have shot his ass. All right, I'm sorry, I'm off myself.
It's all good. It's all good.
Daddy long legs.
The entire GCPD, corrupt or not, tried to kill him for that, but then later he's still allowed to investigate crime scenes as if that didn't happen. It's Chicago.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
They vouched for him.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. He's a good guy. That I didn't even think about that. That is funny, though.
Well, here's the thing. He redeemed himself because the recording went out of the villain who committed like that voicemail that Catwoman played. That went out all the news, right?
Amazing scene, yeah.
Right after that, Batman is bringing out that villain tied up or in handcuffs.
Yeah.
So in a way, he redeemed himself, I guess, for the cops. So because the cops that were out there were the non-corrupt police officers,
Right.
So they were on Batman's side naturally.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
I think that's how it all balanced out. I don't know.
I'll buy
My
it.
man was sitting there, he was sitting there kicking around evidence. I'm like, damn, dog. He just showed up and was like, look, I'm supposed to be here. It's all good. Don't mind me. In my costume and my vigilanteism.
Yeah. And my intense stares at everything.
Arna Banerjee.
If it isn't my favorite YouTubers, what's up, guys? Been good, boys and kitty?
Wow.
Yes, very much so.
The Recovery 716.
My favorite scene of Catwoman was on the roof with Crooked Cop, Batman, and Gordon. Her emotion while they listened to the voicemail was gripping.
That was an incredible
really
scene.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, they played the entire recording. And you're just there watching.
They did, didn't they, huh?
Yeah. So you just
Yeah.
you're-
For a
it's-
minute and 40 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, it's disturbing because
A long time.
you're listening to this woman die
Yeah.
while they're listening to this woman die, and like looking at their reactions, and obviously like Annika meant a lot to Selena Kyle, and she's like crying. I didn't really understand if she was her girlfriend or just like
I think
a
it was
good
her
friend.
No, I think the implication there was that they were, yes.
Yeah. So
I think that, yes. It wasn't as overt. It was more implied. I'm fairly certain that they've had a thing or two.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I figured. And so like
She's a cat lady. I don't know. She's into cats.
You have a lot of cats.
I would imagine that, some stuff happened. That's all.
It was jarring, and then you hear her, and then they say it, and they're like, he's choking her. It's like,
Yeah.
damn. Well.
And then the realization as well, because her mom died from choking, and so now she's like,
shit. Yeah.
Oh
I
my
didn't
God,
even peep
my
those two together.
my
You're
dad
right.
killed my mom, and not only did he kill my mom, but he killed my lover as well.
He's got a thing like that. He
Yeah.
likes to choke bitches out.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
And then he
With
tried to
these
choke her
hands.
out.
He sure did. That is his thing. I didn't peep that. You were right.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, listen, I'm gonna end you myself.
Yeah.
Hey, that actor that played him, he was also in Transformers, right? If I remember right, that same actor.
I think
Oh,
he's
yeah,
been in a
that's
bunch of
right,
different
yeah.
Stuff. Yeah, he's been around
Yeah,
a long time. He's more of a comedian, comedic actor usually, I think.
I thought he
But
was
he's really
good, yeah.
good, yeah. He's scary.
Yeah.
He was in a bunch of early Spike Lee movies too. I want to say Do the Right Thing and stuff like that.
I need to watch that.
But yeah, I thought he did a really good job. That's an actor that we haven't really heard a whole lot of people talking about it. Let me go to James Turturro, that's his name. John Turturro. I thought he did a pretty good job as Carmine.
Yeah.
You know, especially that moment when he's telling Bruce about, let me tell you about your daddy.
Yeah.
I thought, because it was like a really cool, like, I'm gonna have this father-son talk with you that your daddy didn't have with you about how real people do real things, even though it was a lie, but it was very believable in that moment.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Hardish Shankara.
without the flood scene in the climax, Riddler would be considered a hero in an alternate universe.
Yeah, that's what makes him a good villain.
I don't see why he would be considered a hero.
Well, because he's cleaning up the city, isn't he?
Well, I guess it's fair.
You know,
Yeah.
he's exposing the corruption.
That's
It's almost
true.
like he's performing a surgery. It's like you have to get rid of the rot.
That's true. That's true. No, I agree with you. Yeah, you're right.
You've Luthra.
Best Batman theme, in my opinion, perfectly used.
Very good.
I wouldn't say it's the best. I'd say it's on par with the Dark Knight.
Danny Elfman's was still pretty good though. Danny Elfman's the original.
Yeah. No, I think they're all great. I think the Dark Knight, for me, like really stood apart. It was like it's just very vibrant. I love to listen to that song, that soundtrack. But this one was definitely cool. It's very dramatic.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it, though. It's unabashedly dramatic.
You've Luthra.
Best Batman thing. Oh, I just read that.
Clark Zero.
The most grounded on-screen Batman we've seen. It was refreshing getting a version of the character that isn't mythical, that is still learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, show.
Yeah.
I
There's
agree.
so much scope for growth, you know, because he's what's happening? Oh, he's got a pee-pee. Yeah, there's so much scope for growth, and like they can really kind of take him to that place, because usually when we meet Batman in the films, we see, oh no, the tragedy, and however many different iterations of his parents dying, we've seen that, and then he's the Batman that we know, where he's already got everything sussed out and he's perfect for the most part and grown up, and then here he's still kind of figuring it out, you know, which is really interesting.
I liked how grounded his gear was and how practical it was. Like even like his grappling hook, you know, in every Batman piece you ever see, animated or real, he just shoots it and it attaches to some magical thing, and then he's whisked off away to safety. Whereas this one, they actually showed it, you know, going over the clamp, like banging against like the heating thing, and then snagging it, and then him being able to pull himself up. It's like it really took its time with that. Like even regarding like the batarangs.
Yeah.
Typically Batman just goes into this thing and then throws like 3 of them out of just nowhere. Whereas he had like a piece of steel that looked like it was like probably handmade himself, you know, and it just sat right there, and he wasn't like throwing it around and having it come back. You know, it had like a really purposeful kind of thing. It was like a machete kind of like just on standby. You know, I thought that was really cool how that worked with this costume. Go ahead.
Well, apparently that's that's made out of the parts of the gun that was used to kill his parents. So there's like.
Oh, they said that in the movie?
Not
I missed that.
Not in
No.
the movie.
Matt Reeves. What do you call it? Disabused that notion.
Oh, we did. It's not that.
That was just he's like, that was an interesting.
That's an interesting fan theory.
You want something? Here you go.
But it's
Well,
wrong.
I like that. That it was just like a last ditch kind of thing. And you see him like not just have some magical thing when he's like holding onto the electric wire too. He didn't just pull out some magic thing out of his belt. It was that had already been established.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's like, I'm going to use this to kind of save the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at some of the regular chats here. It says, why is my message not showing? It's all there. Yeah, it's real time. What did you think of that moment when they pull off the? Because I know you weren't a big fan of the Riddler's followers, you know, because you wanted to see a showdown between Riddler and Batman. But
yeah,
I watched a breakdown yesterday, and it was Eric Voss, New Rockstars, talked about how the guy who they pulled the mask off, and they ask what's his name. He goes, "I'm Vengeance." You know, at the end. That guy apparently was in the movie earlier. He was one of the people who said, "Oh, you know, he deserved it. He deserved to get killed."
At the funeral.
At the funeral scene.
When he was just like one of the regular guys, he's actually wearing like a dark green jacket.
Like the weirdos at that funeral scene were in green jackets.
I didn't peep that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like a really subtle callback, which I kind of, when I watched it, I think I kind of twigged a little, but it wasn't like super clear. And then when Eric Voss clarified that, I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
Balaji says, Jaby, you were saying that the hint of Joker might hurt its chances in the Oscars, but Matt Reeves clarified it was more like to complete the Riddler's arc and give him hope as a friend. That's an excuse. To me, it's still a thing for a sequel, no matter what you say. There's no way you can't. There's no way you can't see it that way.
I was gonna say, do you feel that this was Oscar worthy?
Except for that scene, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the one thing that kind of threw me, and I feel like stuff like that is often what keeps it from being Oscar worthy. Like, you know, Kevin Feige wanted Eternals to be an Oscar contender, and I'm like, ain't no way this is gonna be an Oscar contender. This is a commercial movie. Even if it was like really good, it's still a commercial movie at the end of the day, where you have these after credit scenes to get people excited for the next one. This is more of a TV show at the cinema than it is a movie, and that's why Martin Scorsese criticized it. He's calling it theme park. I think that's a terrible way to criticize it. I think he's just jealous, if anything. But the thing about it is, these movies, these Marvel films, don't feel like standalone stories. And for whatever reason, they made an exception with Godfather 2, because that won Best Picture. But generally speaking, like, the films that win Oscars are standalone stories. Like, they really stand on their own. It's not like this, oh, and after the credits, there's this like hint at another movie. Come back, same bat channel, same bat time, all that. You know what I mean? It's not like that for films that win Best Picture. And so if that scene wasn't in there, I'd be like, oh, this is like Joker. And Joker was nominated for Best Picture, and I feel like it probably deserved that nomination, even though I didn't like the movie. It deserved that nomination because it was a good standalone film. You know? It wasn't hinting at something else. It wasn't trying to be like, and then there's going to be a sequel, Joker 2. It was like, no, this is its own thing, you know? And so for me, you know, that hurt it a little bit. And people are saying like all kinds of things of what Matt Reeves really intended with that. I'm like, it still looks like sequel stuff to me. And so, but outside of that, I'm like, the acting was top notch. The cinematography was top notch. For me, the writing was top notch. It spoke to our time, like in a very, very real way. It spoke to the things that we're dealing with, whether you're talking about politics or pandemic or whatever. Like, it's speaking to a lot of the vitriol that we feel with each other and the things that we ignore. Like I saw some complaints. I was gonna like try to find it here in the comments. I saw some complaints of people talking about, you know, it shoving woke agenda down our throat, and I'm like, there's definitely woke agenda in there, but I was so taken by the movie, I missed it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there's agenda in every movie. It's just people want to call it woke when it talks about a demographic that you're not a part of.
Right.
Then it's woke, but there's always agenda. Don't give me that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hear that. There's always agenda in movies.
Yeah.
And so you just got to choose which hill you're going to die on with that.
Yeah. And there was someone was complaining about how everybody bad in the movie is white, and I'm like, well, the thing about it is
everyone bad in real life is white.
So if you change if you change the Riddler's ethnicity, I feel like people would lose their shit. So Riddler has always been white. I feel like the person you can get away with making black, for some reason, Catwoman, you can get away with it. I'm not sure why, and I'm glad it's okay.
Because she's hot.
I'm glad it's okay.
I get it. Why? Because of the mayor's speech. Right, it's when it's Catwoman's speech when she says something to the effect of like
white people,
rich white men. Yeah. Okay, that's why. Now I'm wondering because I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, how is this a black thing again?
So what happened was, on that woke comment that I saw, I wrote this really epic YouTube response on my phone, and I was about to hit reply, and then my phone died. I'm like, fuck, I lost it. I lost all that effort in replying. The thing I was trying to illustrate to this person is, when Catwoman says people only care about those privileged white folks, she's not saying all white people are bad. She's saying these select group of people are the only ones we care about, because Riddler says the same thing, and he's white.
Right.
And so it's not just minorities that are suffering when you focus on the privileged white folks. White people are suffering too.
Yeah. Everyone's suffering.
And like, most people are not these rich white folks. This is 1%.
And he is part of the 1%.
And he's part of the 1%.
And yet Bruce Wayne is not using his money, his power for good. And I think that maybe that's the next journey, is kind of seeing the marriage between Bruce Wayne and Batman, right? Because in this movie we got Batman and very little Bruce Wayne, and we had Bella Royale saying, your family has a history of philanthropy and helping people, but you've basically not done shit. And so maybe he needs to step up as well in his daytime life as Bruce Wayne and use his billions of dollars for the good of Gotham City. Like, he can be the Batman, the guy in the shadows who's patrolling the night and clearing up the city that way, but maybe he can also be the guy in the front and use his money for good, like his dad intended.
It just seemed pretty obvious to me. It just seemed pretty obvious to me that when you take the whole thing into consideration, when Catwoman says, people only care about these rich white folks, she's literally talking about the guy she's talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Straight to his face. Like, the thing about it is everybody suffers when you're only giving, when you're only paying attention to these people over here. No one's paying attention to everybody else. I think that's the point. And so I can see why it comes off as woke agenda. And then that, I think in that same comment, or I don't know where it is now because there's like 480 comments here. That person was like, the film is saying that white people are bad, but the villains in the movie are Italian. And I go, look, as someone who's half Italian, Italian's considered white at this point.
Yeah.
It just is. And it's like, if you look like light skin, you're pretty much white in today's day and age.
Yeah.
Right? It goes the same for black people, right? Whether you're Jamaican or from Africa or you're raised in the States, you're just black.
Yeah.
And so
nobody cares about the subsectors when you're out of the culture.
Exactly.
You're just black.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
but you said something that hit the nail right on the head, and that is your main antagonist is going after the people that you're upset with. I don't get it. He's going after the corruption, and he's white. He's going after Bruce Wayne, who, like you said, even Catwoman is saying that to his face indirectly, not even knowing. Like these are the people that have all the power and are getting away with stuff and doing corrupt things. So I don't know, man.
Let's see. I like the detective scenes and solving mysteries. Oh, this is it right here. But my issues in the movie is the wokeness. We had all white people. Can you guys see it?
There we go.
Let me go like that. We had all, where is it? We had all white people as corrupt and evil people. Then you have Selena talking about white privilege, even though the one running the city was Carmine Marone and the Italian mobs. Italian people are considered white. I know that at one point they weren't, but today they are. We had only good black characters like Gordon, Selena, the mayor, and Jay. The mayor, there was an attempted assassination on the mayor because the assumption is that all politicians are bad.
Yeah.
And so the surgical removal is just basically completely upheaving society because politicians are bad. I think that was the assumption, at least on the part of the Riddler. And Jay Licurgo, a character dresses up for Halloween and the only one in the group who was worried for beating up strangers. Which is fine. There's no balance of characters. We could clearly see this is an agenda being pushed. I don't understand how some people are not seeing this. I like the movie, but I don't like false perception, and I'm sure some younger people will believe this to be true. I don't think the color is something that people are really focused in on when they're watching this movie. I think that when Catwoman says they're focused on these privileged white folks, I think that's just coming from if Catwoman was real and she was black, what would she say? And I feel like the lines she says in the movie speak to that. Am I off my rocker here? Like,
not to me. I mean, she said what she said.
Yeah.
Be mad at her character. Don't be mad at the entire movie.
Or be mad at society for, like, the thing about it is, I feel like that just speaks to what we are dealing with right now. It's not necessarily woke agenda. It's just speaking to the times, because this is an ongoing conversation right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think people are trying to make it more than it really is. This isn't about, black people and white people being all bad. This is just corruption.
Exactly.
Mark, inject up things.
Exactly.
Mark, I don't know if I'm going to say your name correctly. Mark Books says, if you look for race issues, you'll find issues.
Yes.
I think the race wokeness people are discussing is a stretch. Yeah.
Yes.
It seems a bit of a stretch to me. What she was saying isn't out of the ordinary that any one of us might say in like day-to-day life when we're complaining about stuff that's going on. It's like, yeah, it's the 1%. It's who are mostly white people.
That's true of a lot of areas.
Yeah.
I mean, like the whole thing with this is gonna be a weird left turn for the audience, I'm sure, but with The Simpsons, when they got rid of Apu, right?
Okay.
There's this whole thing about like Apu needs to be played by an Indian person. I'm like, I disagree with that completely. I just think that Indians need more opportunities. It's that simple. I feel like anybody should be allowed to voice anybody. It's a fucking cartoon. Anyone should be allowed to voice anyone in a cartoon. That's my feeling about it in an ideal situation, right? Yeah. The problem is, just like with politics and just wealth in general, a lot of it belongs to 1%. And a lot of that 1% is white. That's the problem. I don't have an.
It's just what it is. Yeah.
I don't have an inherent issue. I don't have an inherent issue with Apu being played by a white dude. I have an inherent issue with not enough Indians getting opportunities to play roles in general.
Yeah.
Or Asians or minorities. You know, because the only minority I can think of off the top of my head is Phil Lamar. He's the only one. He's the only one, and so, yeah. You got your one black person, which is the mayor in the movie.
Oh, that's not true. I mean,
Is it good?
Gordon.
No, I mean in terms of the politics.
Oh, okay.
Politicians.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, what are you smoking?
Oh,
There was plenty of color in this film.
Speaking of which, Gordon and the relationship between Batman and Gordon was dope.
Loved it.
I thought that was great.
I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright is just a beast. Period. He brings it in everything. Everything. It didn't seem jarring because sometimes you'll see the color change.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where you have to get like reacclimated when something veers from the source material. And with this personally, there was nothing really jarring about it. The way he carried himself, the mannerisms.
I bored him.
Yeah. That's it.
To me, he looked like Gordon.
Yeah.
Like when I looked at him, I'm like, this looks like Gordon. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even think about his ethnicity. The funniest thing is I didn't think about his ethnicity when I was looking at him. He just looked like Gordon to me. Go ahead.
There is one moment where he did have a black moment though. There is one black moment.
What
It's when
happened?
they're sneaking around and Batman's looking at him. He's like, "You're gonna bring a gun?"
He says no guns.
He had a brother moment. He said, "There's no guns." He's like, "Nah, bro, that's your thing."
Yeah.
I'm bringing a gun. Yeah, I felt that. I was like, "Yeah, all right."
I hadn't even thought about it that way, but yeah, that makes sense.
Someone says, Omi Power says, how American people look at Apu is very different from how Indians look at Apu. Thank you, come again, really, lol. I mean, I'm sure there's some truth to that. Again, I don't want to digress too hard. The Simpsons is a caricature of society. That's the important part to remember with Apu. It's supposed to be goofy, so it's like he's a caricature. The first thing you have to ask is how does the race of the character affect the story? If it doesn't, who cares?
Yeah.
I
mean,
I think to a certain degree it does affect the character. It's just not emphasized. It does, right? I mean, I don't know.
it might. I mean, sure, it might affect the lens and the experiences that the character has, but ultimately, like, if the color of the character like isn't that important to the character, I don't know. It's like if it works and they can be like Asian or black or white or whatever, then just cast the person that you like, and that makes the most sense.
It's the whole thing. If it works, use it.
Yeah.
If it don't force it.
How'd you all feel about that encounter between the first encounter between Batman and Catwoman inside the mayor's mansion?
You know, it's funny because in the trailer, I was all like, "Dang, that's sexy."
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, but then the moment when it happened in the movie, I was like, oh, he just like pinned her to the table and all that, and like, oh man, okay, wow, like he's just, you know,
He's the only.
you're being very, very handsy with this lady, Batman.
She liked it. She enjoyed the shit out of it.
He's just all over her, just like, wow, let me grab you.
There was that moment when the cop comes in and he's holding her from behind.
Yeah, with his hand over her
his
mouth.
hand over her mouth. And he's like, "You smell good." I'm just kidding. No, but like, there was a bit of a sexuality to it that I thought was very subtle.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course there is.
Yeah.
It's purposefully.
I thought it was cool.
Purposely
I
done
thought,
like
I thought
that,
it was. I thought it was well done. Like, yeah, I liked it. You know, it was a little bit BDSM. It was a little bit like, cause like he's manhandling her. He's like,
That's a lot of leather.
he's like, "Bitch, shut up! I got you."
I'm stronger than you.
Men are trying to work. Hold still.
I love this comment from
Trying to keep
Comic.
you safe.
Did Selena just pick her favorite cat and leave the rest? It did seem like
Yeah, she had like a bunch of them, right? But only one left the city with her.
Yeah, I know. Like what? They were all strays anyway. They'll be fine. She'll find a bunch of other
She kept
strays.
the mom. It makes more.
I did love that part where Batman saw all her cats and was just like, You have a lot of cats.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, I like
Do
it.
you
It was
think
funny.
they would introduce Dick Grayson Robin or any other Robin in the sequel?
God, I hope not.
Why
Oh,
not?
please don't do that.
Why?
Not in this world. Not in this world. I think we should just stay with Patterson and stay with the crime element, and then just work this angle. I need one more before we start bringing in the contrived a little bit. Because what the hell you need a little 11-year-old boy in spandex for?
To be
For
honest
what?
with you, no. So, well, no, you don't need a lumber. You don't need a little. Yeah, okay. I think that this version of Batman actually lends itself to Robin better than other instances of Batman, because this is a guy who is really you really see him care about the city,
Yeah.
and the citizens of Gotham, and I think that he would look for an opportunity like that to take care of somebody, and so it actually makes sense. I don't think it's quite the timing's right. I think he needs to be aged up a bit more before you can bring in Robin.
He looks like a child himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I can see this version of Batman having a sidekick that is Robin.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, doesn't he lose Robin multiple times in the comics?
Yeah.
And
he's blown up, beat up. Yeah. There's been a
there's
couple of
different
renditions
versions of Robin, and for some odd reason he keeps getting another boy.
No, give me a young boy in spandex.
Yeah.
Alfred, hurry!
Rajesh
A
Naik.
new one.
The woke
Find me a little boy.
The woke didn't affect me much, but I do think that South Asians, i.e. Indian subcontinent ones, are generally underrepresented in Hollywood, and when it is represented, we get a travesty like Eternal's Bollywood sequence.
Yeah, the Eternals Bollywood sequence was not
Needed some
great.
work.
Yeah.
Needed some work.
No. Not good.
Gaurav Singh says, I don't care about the Batman because it's not helping the Ukrainians. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Same Batman.
Batman needs to fly over there and sort it out, you know?
You all need to sort out this nonsense.
I mean, Batman's willing to go to China to acquire that dude for the in the Dark Knight. Remember, he flew to China.
I don't remember
So
that.
there's no reason why Batman can't be an international hero. He can do whatever he wants. Hello, gonna go watch the movie tomorrow. Would you
What
guys?
are you doing here,
I
Zayn?
know, right? Pretty sure Jaby will do Mask of the Phantasm in the near future.
Will you? Have you watched it?
I've watched it a lot. Did
Have
you
I
see,
watched it?
Have you watched Mask of the Phantasm?
Yeah, but a lot of it didn't keep with me. I do remember enjoying it. I
Yo-
saw it when it came out in the 90s, so it's almost 30 years ago when I saw it.
The Mask of the Phantasm is a really different kind of movie. It's like there's a lot of emotion in that movie. Although there's a lot of backstory in that movie.
I don't think I've seen it.
Like, it's a surprising amount of backstory going into Batman's past of how he becomes Batman and the love of his life, and like there's so much emotion and like romance and violence in that movie to a level that you don't expect. I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic. It was a very mature cartoon, and I was actually shocked. I'm like, this is for kids. This is not a kids movie. So Dead Man Walking asks, do you think the new Joker will be able to do justice? Absolutely not.
You don't think so?
No.
I like him.
You know-
Barry Keoghan.
I don't know, man. I don't want to see
Yeah,
a
I
new
gotta
Joker
see
yet.
it.
I don't want to see a new Joker yet. It's just that
I'm
simple.
with you, Jaby, on that. I want somebody else too. I want Colin Farrell because I think Colin Farrell knocked it out the park. I want to see what he can do when he gets a little bit more power. And this gangster version of Colin Farrell, that's dope.
They're
Yeah.
making a show about Penguin.
Oh, he's getting his own thing. Huh.
We're gonna get more Penguin. Don't worry about it.
V Pool says, I wish Batman and Robin were gay.
They're not.
So that's now you're talking about woke agenda. Nick Hill Gupta says Zoe Kravitz is undoubtedly my favorite Catwoman.
I really liked her, but also Michelle Pfeiffer though holds a special place in my heart as Catwoman. She was my fave as a kid.
I wish that
I'm not mad at that.
I wish that this Batman was made like 20 years ago, and they had Lisa Bonet as Catwoman.
Boy, can they pump out some crazy seeds, boy. Lisa Bonet and what's his name? The rock and roller, black rock and roller.
Lenny Kravitz.
Lenny Kravitz. Golly, boy, they should clone them and just force them to make children so we can have a beautiful society.
That sounds awful. That sounds terrible. Just like make them make babies. Just so we can like get some hotness in the gene pool, you know?
The ending where Batman carries a lady to the stretcher and says that he needs to be more than vengeance. He needs to be a symbol of hope. Loved it. You know, that to me, that whole thing, that was so much more, I don't know how to put it. That was a much better ending than The Dark Knight. Like, the whole thing with The Dark Knight, right, where Batman isn't supposed to kill anybody, but he kills Harvey Dent. Dude just like knocks him off the third floor of this building that's under construction, and Harvey dies. And he says, you know, make me the villain. It's like, I watched a pitch meeting about this. Why did Batman have to be the villain? There's a guy called the Joker running around blowing shit up. Like, why did it have to be him? He could have easily said the Joker did it, which he did, effectively. And then he says something like, Harvey Dent is not the hero we deserve, but it's the hero we need. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't get that line.
But it sounds like such an epic line, though. That line is so iconic.
But, okay, so there's ways to interpret that, right? On some, I'm sure it makes sense to somebody, including SYNTELL. I listened to that line. And I'm like, I don't get it. It sounds cool, though. I'll let you respond in a sec. What I'm saying is the way they did the ending monologue for the Batman, I'm like, I get all that. And I'm emotionally hooked. I'm not confused. So, what were you going to say?
I'm polar opposites on both. For one, the ending on Dark Knight was great because you need the devil you can control. You don't want everybody hating on somebody that's going to actually do real damage to the city. But you know Batman isn't going to really go out of his way to destroy the city and have the city focus their hate on me. And then everybody can kind of like have unity and let me just be the focus. I'll be the bad guy. That's fine. You know, I'm the enemy you need. Whereas the Patterson, like all of a sudden, it looked like he was doing pamphlets for the American Red Cross. I mean, you went from skulking in the dark, making people scared of the shadows and beating the brakes out of them, like to the point where you are this monster. So all of a sudden, you're like, hey, you know, I'm dragging people out, and you know, it's a totally different thing. And I know it's an arc, but it's an arc that you do when Batman is 55 and he's getting ready to turn in the cowl. I don't need, you know, UNICEF Batman from here on out. I need that dude in the shadows beating the brakes out of bad guys looking over their shoulder. That's the Batman I need. So if they are going to continue it, I hate that they went that far. You know, he doesn't need to make that turn just yet. He still needs to be feared.
Well, I was looking at this as a standalone movie.
Right.
I wasn't looking at this as a franchise. And if it's a standalone movie, I thought that worked. Now, because I think what messes up that scene is the fact that you have that Joker bit. That's what messes up that scene for me. Because it's like now it sort of takes away from me the impact of this just being its own story with a finite ending, you know, as opposed to like this infinite, oh, we got sequels. You know?
Yeah.
So to the Dark Knight thing, you're saying that he was the bad guy you can control?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he is the bad guy you can control.
He locked up the Joker. They're in control of the situation. Now, pin it on the Joker. Joker did it. Joker pushed him. You know?
You know,
go ahead.
Yo, if you're gonna do UNICEF Batman though, if you're gonna do
Red Cross Batman,
Red Cross Batman, then he's he could do far more as Bruce Wayne. Like, I don't understand that. Like, you don't need to wear the cowl. You should just be out there in your regular gear, you know, pulling debris off people. You don't need to be walking around in a suit. You wear the suit to strike fear. That's the purpose of the black suit. You know, but why are you wearing black suits if you're helping, you know, the police pull people out of the rubble?
The thing to protect you from bullets and explosions.
Yeah, the suit serves no purpose anymore.
No. Achara just said it protects him. It protects him physically. But that's number one. Number two is he's being the beacon of hope for people who are good. But for the villains in the street, he's still going to be someone to fear. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Knoppathor.
Great movie. I especially appreciated that Bruce Wayne had bags under his eyes. Very realistic.
It's not hard to have bags under your eyes when you're on a shoot. It's much harder to not have bags under your eyes when you're on a shoot. Like, they could just don't put makeup on him, and it'll just make it appear more realistic, because I'm sure that they were working very long hours.
V Pool says, funniest thing about Nolan Batman trilogy is Batman secretly draws his symbol on buildings with oil and stuff and lights it in the night instead of helping or making a strategy. That's the thing, is, you know, Christian Bale's Batman wastes a lot of time. Like you got very few resources left in The Dark Knight Rises, and you spent half of it on making that fucking symbol on the bridge.
Gotta strike fear, you know?
Yeah. I thought Joaquin Phoenix would be a better Joker for this Batman because their emotions would connect perfectly.
Yes, I agree.
The Batman was my first live-action DC movie. Gotta love the pacing of the movie and the acting. Only thing I didn't like was the ending. It was too much of a cliffhanger. Your opinion?
Oh boy, that being your first DC live-action DC movie?
Prepare yourself for
wow.
disappointment.
This is, yeah, this isn't what it's normally like. This is why we're all freaking out. This is not what it's normally like. Yeah, don't expect like Aquaman or whatever to be like this. It's not gonna be like this.
Okay, here's the thing. WB, they've been stuck in a very experimental phase for years because, like,
well, they haven't figured out the formula that Marvel has.
Right. I mean, well, that's the thing, right? Because they've been sort of floundering, and they saw what Marvel's doing. They're like, oh, we need an Avengers. We got the Justice League. We got to make a Justice League thing. And so there's this sort of ramp up that happened, and it's just been like left, right, left, right. They couldn't figure out their way, and it's been very experimental as a result, which initially looked like awful, but it's actually paying dividends because Joker made $1 billion at the box office, and it was very different. And they're like, okay, Matt Reeves comes in with his idea. They're like, Joker made $1 billion at the box office. Green light to Matt Reeves. Let's see where this goes. And they gave him $200 million to make his version of Batman, which is basically a remake of Zodiac, right? And it's doing phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so now WB is like, I'm very curious to see how far this goes, like how far this experimentation goes.
Well, they've given him a lot of other projects.
In terms of like making the Batman, anthology or whatever it is, the stories of Batman grounded and realistic and gritty, because this is not what we're used to. It's like, we're used to popcorn. The Joker is not popcorn, not by a long shot. And this Batman is, kind of 50-50.
Semi-popcorn. I definitely
Semi-popcorn.
enjoyed my popcorn.
It's definitely more grit than popcorn. But like it's a nice balance of the two, and it's gonna make $1 billion at the box office despite pandemic. Pandemic be damned, it's gonna make $1 billion. It's already reached $250,000 worldwide. So $250 million worldwide. So it's gonna make its money back. So I'm sure Warner Brothers is like, what else can we do? Oh, let's do a 3.5-hour epic. Do you want it to be like Titanic?
I do respect DC for kind of like not going the bubblegum route, because Marvel is locked in.
Yeah.
They have to appease everybody. They're locked in.
Yeah.
Disney is like, listen, we need all movies to be watchable by everybody. DC is like, nah. Especially if you watch like their animation. Their animation is as adult as it gets.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Harley Quinn series. And they're sticking to that format. They're like, we know our audience. We know they're a little bit hardcore, and we're going to make sure we focus on that.
That's about to change. Marvel is about to be pushing some rated R movies. Supposedly.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Supposedly.
Like Deadpool and
we'll see.
Punisher.
Yeah.
Blade.
We'll see. Blade. Yeah, Blade should be. I mean, it's a horror. I mean, if they do those horror tones right, it should be rated R.
It should be like X-Men. Wolverine's got those claws that never really kill anybody.
Yeah.
He just used them to spread jam on my
Yeah, exactly.
I need my vampires in the MCU, okay? I love vampires.
Like, that was the one thing about, like, from the beginning, I've always been like, Wolverine's stories should be rated R. Like, they really should have always been rated R, because he's got these claws that he can't do much with otherwise. They literally kicked him out of the third act of Days of Future Past. They literally kicked him out of the movie. They're like, you go in the water. for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You swim around.
So, well, we wrap
Come
this
back
up.
when this fight's over.
Yeah.
Like,
don't need you, Wolverine.
They made him useless because he can't do any damage. He didn't really get to flex until Logan, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Omnipower. What did you think about the lady at Wayne Manor unable to reach Batman for an hour when Alfred blew up? And why is there only a rotary phone?
Yo, the tech. That's a good question because the tech is a little wonky, right? It's kind of old school tech. You got an old school Batmobile. Some of his gear looks a little old school as compared to like the Nolan films. There's a big difference between Nolan's Batmobile and this Batmobile. One is all the way teched out.
He had that Google Eye contact thing.
Yeah, that was cool.
but even the picture of it looks kind of wonky. It was kind of like old. It was grainy and stuff. Like they really made the tech look kind of worn.
Sundar gave him early access to the next Google tech. Sundar, head of Google.
Yeah. No, but someone brought up that the Thomas Wayne campaign video was 2001, and so it's like 20 years after that. So it is around our time that all this stuff is happening, and so I guess the tech feels like it's not too futuristic. It is like stuff that someone like Bruce Wayne could use to make his batsuit and equipment now.
I think in the Vanity Fair video, they talked about how Batman was supposed to be inspired by Zorro. But in 2001, Zorro, the only Zorro we had was Antonio Banderas, and that was not a thing anymore in 2001. The biggest movie in 2001 was Scooby-Doo.
Really?
Wow.
So that's why he's a detective. Like the Scooby-Doo gang.
Yeah.
Ooh, we do.
Jean-Rene Jacobson. Scarecrow is the main villain in the next movie. What do you think? I don't know what you do with that. I don't even know.
You've already kind of done that, though.
Yeah.
The whole edgy, 7-ish kind of vibe. I don't know.
I like Scarecrow because I like Cillian Murphy as an actor. And so I don't really, me personally, because I haven't read the comics, I don't have a lot of like history with all of these villains. So I mean, if they can do a good job with Scarecrow.
You know what's interesting is I think that the Batman Begins movie would have actually been a lot closer to, at least in terms of like being grounded, it would have been a lot closer to the Batman if it wasn't for Warner Brothers. I think a lot of the things that, which I think are cool, a lot of the things in Batman Begins that make it feel Hollywood are actually notes from the executives. Like, you need a Batmobile, dude. You got to have a Batmobile. You cannot not have a Batmobile. So, because initially Nolan didn't want that. There was a lot of things Nolan didn't want in that version of Batman that he had to make concessions for. But I think it helped the movie. Those studio notes helped make it a stellar movie, and series in general. So, because as you see, I think Nolan needs the studio. I think he needs studio notes to balance him out. Not all directors do, but I think he is a director that needs studio notes. Because
you definitely need somebody to be like, you're doing too much.
Yeah.
Because we saw what happened with those latest project that he worked on.
Yeah. Like, I think that when he's given too much free reign, I think it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. Like Dark Knight Rises, I like it, but that definitely felt like Nolan had his way more, and that's what happened. You know, it's like you compare it to The Dark Knight. It doesn't hold a candle to The Dark Knight. It's still,
he needs a babysitter.
It's still fun to watch, and I enjoy it, but that movie's long and a little bit silly. You know, like, it doesn't stand up against The Dark Knight at all. And I think that's because the ending doesn't even make any sense. So, I don't want to. This is not about that. He fucking sent a nuclear bomb into the ocean and then just swam to safety.
He can swim really fast, okay?
We don't talk about that. We pretend like the nuke didn't happen.
And people like to tell me, oh well, he's autopilot. It's a nuclear bomb.
I mean, you're not lying.
Yeah. Mahesh CV. Need an arc to save 2 of every animal. I know a guy. Oh, that's a. Oh, yeah.
God, you gotta get the delivery of the puns and the jokes right,
I
Jaby.
thought it was a misspelling. I thought it was a typo. I didn't realize it was a pun. And then my friend drove his expensive car into a tree and found out how his Mercedes bends.
There we go. Better delivery.
Yeah, that's good though. I like it.
I think what killed the Joker thing for me was his laugh. I think that's what it was. His laugh just sucked.
I don't know. I think it was
laugh.
really when he laughed where I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're definitely the Joker.
Okay, so both him and Paul Dano were laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Dano's laugh sounded more like Joker laugh than the Joker's laugh in the Batman. That's bad. That's really bad.
I guess.
The Joker's supposed to have an iconic laugh. And albeit Heath Ledger only did it the one time, but man, was it memorable when he let out that laugh because he was torturing the guy in the meat closet or whatever it's called, because he had the guy upside down and he had the camera on him and he just let out that laugh, and I'm like, that's the Joker's laugh, like nobody's business, and that rivals Mark Hamill's laugh. This Joker's like, it was like a chuckle. I'm like, that's the Joker you're gonna leave this movie with? That's as bad as the Robin at the end of Dark Knight Rises. Like, don't do that. Leave that out of. In my version of the movie, that's cut out. Like, it's not there anymore.
Well, I mean, it'd be better than Jared Leto's rendition. You know, Leto's Joker was kind of like.
You didn't like the Rockstar Joker with all the tattoos and the piercing. The what's Johnny Depp's character in Pirates?
Oh, yeah.
Jack Sparrow?
Yes.
The Jack Sparrow of Jokers. What are your thoughts on Spider-Man India potentially coming on screen for the first time? Do you think it would be great? Do you think it would be great, or do you think it would just end up being cringy?
I want it to be great.
I have faith that Marvel will get it.
Yeah.
I hope.
Oh,
they
like
do.
you had faith that they got it right in Eternals?
I didn't have faith in that. I didn't have faith in that stuff. The fact that they had what's his name playing an Indian character. Anyway.
Kumail.
Gamer Boy. The laugh was like a 20-year-old smoker who didn't hit puberty. I think that's what actually turned me off with Joker, the movie, because that laugh was just painful to hear, which is a cool take. It's an interesting take. He has an issue because you didn't see it. He has an issue where he has what do you call it?
It's like a Tourette's kind of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like Tourette's. He can't control his laughter. Like, it just comes out. He laughs uncontrollably at all kinds of things. He could be at a funeral and he'll just start laughing, and you just can't help it, right? But the laugh just sounds painful. It doesn't sound enjoyable. Like, that's the thing about Mark Hamill and Heath Ledger is, like, that's freaky, but it's fun. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas with Joaquin Phoenix, I'm like, oh God, I feel bad for this guy. I just feel bad for him. That just sounds yucky. Like a horrible thing to deal with. I agree with you. Riddler laugh was more impactful. That's from Nikhil Gupta. And so, oh, here we go. Dennis Nandebam. Next villain should be Talon, Court of Owls storyline.
Yes.
A lot of people.
Court of Owls.
You want to elaborate on that?
Court of Owls would fit this universe. So there's like a secret society that does. I don't want to spoil too much. They end up like snatching up Batman, and the city ends up kind of like half getting taken over by like these super highly trained assassin-esque type people, and they're called the Court of Owls, and they kind of like dictate. They're like the Illuminati in a sense of Gotham.
How is that different than Ra's al Ghul and League of Shadows?
That's actually a really good question. It's there are differences, but that whole thing of like a group in the shadows pulling like some of the strings. But I don't want to say anything. I'll send you the comic. It's good, and it fits this world really well. The Court of Owls does, and it's super violent. It's dark, and it's kind of depressing. People catch L's. It's good.
League of Shadows. What's your favorite Gotham live-action interpretation? I'd say it's this one.
This one.
For sure.
Definitely.
I mean, the scene that made it for me was when Bruce or Batman and Gordon go into the Wayne wherever the orphanage, and you just see these skeevy people who are high, who are doped up. I'm like, yo, I've never seen this in a Batman movie. Like, just druggies hanging out, you know, like scratching themselves and whatnot. Like, it's like, because Batman hits them with the light, and they're just like, they almost look like zombies. I've never seen that in a Batman movie. That because I've been waiting for years to because they keep talking about how corrupt Gotham is, but you never actually see it. And this is the first time you saw the corruption, and it was an ugly truth. And in the Wayne orphanage, no less, That's pretty dark.
Yeah.
It's like the darkness in his own history that he has to come to terms with.
Yeah.
Especially because I saw in the comments someone said that Thomas Wayne was also in the Court of Owls, right?
I guess it is a woke movie because it's about white guilt. I'm just putting that together right now. I mean, you know, it's basically. Go ahead. It's just basically DC Karen, if you think about it.
Stop.
Batman puts on the cowl so he can speak to somebody's manager.
Go to Starbucks and get my order right.
I'd like to speak to the manager, please. This is not right.
What's the name? Batman.
No. Vengeance.
Vengeance. Oh my God. I'm going to start doing that when I order at Starbucks. What's the name?
It doesn't work. I
Vengeance.
tried that one. So
Say vengeance.
Because
Say vengeance. Give it to you. They're not going to fuck that up.
No, do you know why? Because they always mess up my name, right? I always, they're like, and what name is it? And I'm like, Achara. And maybe one time out of 10, or less, like super less percentage, someone will actually try and say my name. But most of the time, they just go, grande chai tea latte? Like, that's not my name, bitch.
Can't mess that up.
I told you my name. It's Achara. So one time I went to Starbucks and they were like, what's your name? And just for fun, I was like, Batman. Because I thought for sure someone would have a sense of humor and read out Batman. I just wanted to hear them go, order for Batman? Batman?
Yeah.
And then just be able to walk up to the front. And those bastards still said chai latte. I was like, it doesn't work, you guys. It doesn't work. No one has a sense of humor. Okay, next time I'll try Vengeance.
Ash McKean. Completely agree with Jaby on Joker. I personally feel if that scene wasn't in the film, it would be very close to perfect. 9.7 out of 10. I interrupted you. Thank you, Ash McKean, for your generous super. I appreciate that,
Ash.
man. I interrupted you. You forgot?
I don't even remember. Oh, I do remember what I was going to say when we were talking about best depictions of Gotham. I'm still like really fond of the fun, whimsical nature of Tim Burton's Gotham. Because it really felt comic bookish. Really, I think like so many of these newer films regarding like Nolan's version and the one that we're watching now with the Batman is trying to put it in like in real terms. Let's put Batman in a real space and have him play. And Tim Burton just was like, let's just have fun. Let's make everything completely over the top. And Gotham was completely over the top.
Okay. It's funny you say that because I looked up the other day why Michael Keaton did not return for Batman Forever. Did you ever read about this?
Well, I think you read the script, right? And it was absolutely like ridiculous. Tim Burton didn't do 3. He only did 1 and 2,
so
right?
Joel Schumacher stepped in. And Michael Keaton and Joel Schumacher were just not vibing with each other because Joel Schumacher wanted to take it a more fun direction, right? And Michael Keaton's like, say what? No. This is Batman. Like, Batman is not fun. He's dark. He's the Dark Knight. It's Batman. And so, but he kept trying to justify his participation in this movie, like, because he signed on for number 3. So he's like, okay, he kept going back and forth, meeting with Joel Schumacher over and over again. And at a certain point, he just realized, like, he couldn't do the movie because of this one instance, this one exchange where Joel Schumacher goes, like, I don't understand why it has to be so sad and depressing. And Michael Keaton's like, do you know what happened to this guy? like, do you know his backstory? so he left the franchise. That's so, to what you're saying, like, it's interesting because like you're saying it's fun, but Batman and Batman Returns only looks fun now because things have gotten darker. But at the time, I think it was considered dark. Like if you
it was. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Gotham just had that Tim Burton feel though. Like it didn't feel like you look at these now and you're like, oh, that's London. Oh, that's Chicago. Like you look at Tim Burton's, it don't look like none of that. It looks like Gotham. There's no city you can compare Tim Burton's version to that looks like Gotham. It's Gotham. It's his own thing.
Yeah,
you can't say that with all the other films. They look like other cities.
That's true. Potato Alliance. Officer Martinez's knowledge of carpets saved the new mayor. He's the real hero.
It's true. Yeah. It was a very nice, like, wow, that's a lucky coincidence that he happens to know about carpeting and like has a relative who does that stuff. Never would have thought to lift up the carpet otherwise.
Yeah, that was random.
Yeah.
I wonder if Batman could have figured that out. Well, I mean, what did it really do though? There was still everything still exploded.
Yeah.
It's not like it saved anything.
Whoopsie.
You know, it was dramatic. You know, I always every time I've watched the film twice now. It's always funny to me when the cop's like, no, and you just see Batman passing by the camera because he's lifting the carpet. There's just something funny about that. It almost looks like he's dancing, just dancing by the camera frame as he pulls back the carpet and reveals this thing. Like, how would he have known? There's no way he would have known. He would have just heard the bombs going off.
Yeah.
You know, Bubba.
Deuce?
Thank you, Bubba, for your super. I really appreciate it. Nia Davies. I don't know anything about Batman. I'm just here for the banter.
Yay, Nia.
Yeah, what's up?
Did you have to go pee when you watched the movie?
No, surprisingly, I didn't. I was engaged. I was thoroughly engaged.
Oh, I was thoroughly engaged. This is what I was telling Jaby, that I
have a whole system so I don't pee during the movie.
I was really, really engaged in the whole thing. And I think for me, I was just really, really drawn into the world that was created. And I just thought that was so fascinating.
So they make the air conditioning higher in the theater.
To make you pee?
So it's colder, right? So I have two jackets, one on me and one on my crotch. And in addition to that, I cross my legs. So it's like
And sometimes you ask to carry my purse as well.
Yeah. I'm like, I tell my body, like, no, like, this is we're in for the ride for 3 hours, so you gotta keep it together.
Be like,
So-
give me your purse so I can put it on my lap.
As close as possible to start time, I go pee. As close as possible. I'm like, get it all out because it's the last time for a while until the end of the ride. It's because I have to like psych myself up so that I don't feel the compulsion because I'm just sitting there in a cold room for 3 hours.
I'll just hold it and probably give myself a UTI.
And there's a part of me when I'm watching a movie. There's a part of me watching a movie going, well, maybe it's almost wrapping up. And that triggers my body to go, well, maybe it's time to go pee soon, right?
No, don't do that.
And so on my first viewing of the movie, I thought the movie was going to end around the 2-hour mark. I thought, well, surely it's been 3 hours, right? And it was like, no, we have a whole hour to go. I'm like, fuck. So the whole time I'm just like squirming watching the last hour of the movie. It was tough. Ayan Chaudhary, you want to read this one?
Court of Owls is basically a group of ultra-rich people who have been in the shadows and control the city. Thomas Wayne was part of the group as well. Yeah. That's why I think it would be interesting, like, because in this movie, they kind of hinted at Thomas Wayne having this dark history, but then Alfred was like, no, your father was actually good. And then both Batman and us, the audience, were like, oh, phew. Thank God for that. But then, if they bring the Court of Owls in and then we find out more shit about Thomas Wayne, I think that'll be interesting to kind of see, the legacy or having to deal with his father's legacy and how that fits into who he is and who he wants to be. I think that's fascinating.
James Paul, do you think Pattinson's Batman is weaker? I don't know what you mean by that. If
Yeah.
you mean physically, then
Like physically weaker, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Physically. But not mentally. No, I think he still's got that depraved Batman spent on revenge. And I think they did a really good job. I think it was smart them getting out of the blocks with him beating folks down to a pulp early so you can establish that he is this dope.
Yeah. No,
Actually-
I didn't think he was physically weak either. I mean, just I know we mentioned it at the top of the stream where we were talking about his size and how he's not like the bulked up size that we normally come to associate with Batman.
Yeah.
But I think he definitely had the strength and the rage. Like,
there was this interesting thing they did at the very beginning of the movie, because they're establishing Batman's presence in Gotham City, right?
Yeah.
And so you had the guy with the teardrop helmet who just got done robbing the convenience store. And then you had a guy who's spray painting.
Yeah.
And they both look at the shadows. And there's this expectation that they have that Batman's going to come out of the shadows.
Yeah. Like, is this the day?
Right. And the cool thing about that is, even though we haven't seen Batman yet, we expect Batman to come out of the shadows
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Like, we feel what they feel in that moment, and it's all just nice camera placement and really good lighting, and that's all it is. I think part of it does depend on our love for Batman going into the movie, because that was my feeling when I first watched it. I was like, you have to have in going into the film, I think you need to have an inherent love for Batman already in order to really appreciate this movie. Because I think if you don't have that background, like let's say you've never watched a comic book movie in your life, I don't think this film will hit you quite the same way. If that makes sense.
That's a good point.
You know,
that's a very good point. Yeah, I can see that.
Karanwalia. Who would win? Batfleck, Pattinson, Bat-Bale in a fight?
Ooh, that depends. Are they wearing costume or not?
Batfleck.
Yeah, I think if it was just like raw power, I think Batfleck would win.
Oh, Batfleck? I was gonna say
He's far more
Bat-Bale.
violent.
Bat-Bale because he's got skills.
He can't even walk.
Oh, that's right.
He's got
He broke his back.
He's got a leg brace on. After 6 months, Gotham tuned him out. Like he couldn't even walk anymore after 6 months of being Batman. Pattinson's on year 2. Okay.
All right.
So Pattinson's gonna crush Bat-Bale easily. Like he's gonna take his crutch and beat him with it.
But like, okay, just
Batfleck was murdering people.
Yeah,
so
exactly. He didn't give a shit.
There's that.
Straight up. Bah, 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 bah. Tommy gun.
Yeah, and he pulled the tools out too. He's like, I ain't doing them kicks. I'm gonna just shoot you in the face.
okay, fair enough. Batfleck wins.
Let me ask the audience who would win. Who would win in a fight if they had all their tools? And what do you call it? A costume? What would you call it?
Yeah, their tools and outfits. Yeah.
Outfits.
Yeah.
Batfleck. How do you spell Batfleck? Pattinson.
Yeah.
And
then
then
Bat-Bale.
Bat-Bale.
That would be fun to watch.
What? Michael Keaton? What does he keep? Keep Bat.
Let's just put Keaton. Okay.
We don't talk about the rest. What? No.
Yeah.
No.
Keaton can't even turn his neck. He can't even turn his head. So,
That's not his fault. That's the costume.
No, we're fighting like.
Ashutosh Kasalkar.
Is Kashmir Files realizing in LA and see trailer for a Pawakand Marathi movie trailer? What?
I don't know if.
Oh, releasing.
Yeah, I don't know if it is, but I think we'd rather do a watch along to it. So if it's at the cinema, we'll wait and do a watch along.
So even with all the tools and outfits, people are saying Batfleck would win.
Yeah, well, he made a whole bat suit to beat Superman. I think he has the tech and the know-how if he's wearing a suit. That's what I'm saying. I think Batfleck would win if he's in a suit.
Mm-hmm. I think he would win outside of the suit,
hand to hand. You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, he put Superman on his back and was ready to spear him. So
Martha!
He's really not trying to play. He's not here for play.
He's different.
I'll murder you in front of everybody you love. Yeah, he's like, I'm not that dude.
Who is your favorite Alfred?
Ooh, what's his name?
Michael Caine.
Yeah, Michael Caine. Yes, he'll always. I mean, you talking Michael Caine? He's acting. He's acting legendary. I mean, he's a legend.
I did like him. I think when I think of Alfred, it's Michael Caine. Yeah. I just love the way he talks too. I'm like, oh, can you read me a bedtime story and give me cuddles? Maybe stroke my head.
Well, for me, Alfred, the first Alfreds I knew were from the Tim Burton Batman, and then the cartoon.
Yeah.
And I thought Michael Caine was definitely great, but he kind of like Will Smith. He just struck me as like playing himself.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's okay. I like him.
Michael Caine plays Michael Caine really, really well.
I recently watched another movie with him in it, and he was playing a crotchety old man, and I loved it.
All right.
I liked it. It's called Bestsellers.
I have nothing
I like
to
him.
About.
I like him. When he goes, Master Wayne.
I just didn't like that scene when he was on his deathbed saying that he was the one that he lied to everybody.
Oh.
Oh, wait, that's a different movie.
Yeah.
I'm
like,
just
what?
Around. It's Interstellar.
I was like, wait, what?
Interstellar. When he's talking to Molly actress. What's her name? Jessica Chastain.
Jessica Chastain.
It's like, I did it. And the music's hitting that crescendo. Hans Zimmer's score is hitting a crescendo, and I can't hear anything Michael Caine is saying.
Yeah.
How great was that scene at the end of Dark Knight Rises when he goes to the cafe in Florence, and Batman's just waiting there to wave at him. And Alfred's like, I'm out. He just like leaves. Do you think the Injustice storyline would be too dark for a normal audience? They did it, didn't they? Isn't that what was explored in Justice League?
A little bit at the end, right?
Yeah.
The nightmare stuff.
I thought that's what the whole. I thought that's what Justice League was going after.
Yeah, but it was teasing a whole bunch of stuff. They didn't properly do it. Like, we didn't actually watch Superman.
That's not Zack Snyder's fault, right?
No, and Injustice is a whole different thing. Injustice is when Superman loses his ish and takes over the world. That's Injustice. Superman kills Superman kills the Joker, and there's like a civil war on the planet in Batman's camp versus Superman's camp.
Right.
That's Injustice.
Christopher Nolan, Zack Snyder, and then Matt Reeves. Who's Alfred, I should say, who's Alfred would win in a fight? Why can't I back this thing up?
Oh, no. Yeah, he ain't winning no fight.
Matt Reeves is, obviously.
I was going to say Matt Reeves, but I want to give the audience a chance.
I mean, you've seen the scars. So
Yeah.
you know he puts in work.
And you know he trained Master Bruce. So, like...
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be a physical fight. They could use their wits.
You didn't do... You said it a fight.
I said fight. I didn't say what kind of fight.
Oh, my God.
Potato Alliance.
Hot take. Wasn't that big of a fan of Wright's Gordon. He really channeled his inner Clint Eastwood with the squinty eyes, head turns, and gravelly voice.
Wow, that is a hot take.
I'm going to tell you something, Sintel.
What's up?
Jeffrey Wright is not my favorite actor. He's okay for me.
Oh.
He's okay for me. That's my hot take. And this was my favorite role from him.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm like, I like Jeffrey Wright. And but I did feel some of what he's talking about here, the Clint Eastwood thing,
Yeah.
but I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It all works. But like, I remember you and I were talking a long time ago, and you're like, oh my God, this guy's one of the best actors, and I can't remember his name right now. He was in Source Code, and he was in what's it called? Catching Fire. And I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about, dude. And he goes, oh, Jeffrey Wright. And I looked him up. I saw his face, and I just kept my mouth shut. Sintel was so happy to figure out who he was talking about. So much love for this guy. I'm like, I'm just going to keep this to myself. Mr. Bobby Wright is in the comments, in the chat. So,
Karan Walia.
keeping all fans and naysayers in mind, does Batfleck movie still has a chance after this? I wanted Joaquin in the movie, seeing the similarity in Gotham. So, I don't think Batfleck is coming back.
He is in The Flash.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
his last time doing it.
Apparently. But then, you know, with the talk of potentially maybe more Justice League movies, like, how are you going to do that if Batfleck isn't coming back?
Just replace him. They replaced Michael Keaton with Val Kilmer, and Val Kilmer with George Clooney, and George Clooney with Christian Bale. I mean, you can do it again and again and again.
I guess.
long as-
Like, the audience will just have to accept it, and hopefully whoever they end up casting will be, like, very good, and so we'll be like, don't even miss Batfleck.
I'm very curious. Okay, so obviously Matt Reeves' Alfred would kick everybody else's asses with his hand, with one hand tied behind his back.
Because he's
So,
younger, too.
I'm gonna ask the audience, and I'm gonna ask Sintel this. I want to know, like, how did you feel about the inclusion of the Nirvana song?
I mean, it's an emo Batman. This is emo Batman, as emo as it gets. And you want to talk about like the all-time leader of the grunge emo movement. I mean, it's Kurt Cobain.
I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fitting. I mean,
Yeah.
both worlds can combine. There's many times like you probably could have Kurt Cobain play this version of Batman, and it could work.
It's similar hair, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it fits.
That's interesting that Vishnu Nair says, did anyone feel a connection to L from the Death Note whenever they saw Bruce Wayne, I think? Like with the hair and everything. And I guess like the dark circles under the eyes, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
L was the guy who was super smart, right?
Wow. 16 votes, 94% loved the use of that song. That song has been like revived. It's kind of crazy because like if you go on YouTube, like there is like music videos and stuff like that with that particular song, as if it's a new song.
Right.
That song is like 30 years old now or something like
30, at least 30 years old. Yeah.
And but like it's being treated as if it just like I feel like a lot of people don't realize how old that song is.
Right. Well, I guess because it's rock music. It's kind of timeless in a way, although it very much encapsulates the grunge era. And like you said, Nirvana was the epitome of grunge, like Seattle grunge back in the 90s.
I initially, if I'm being completely honest, I initially didn't like the use of the song in the movie.
Often don't like.
Okay, that's fair. But upon second viewing, I appreciated it, especially after looking at the lyrics. I'm like, oh, okay, I see why he did this. But initially, I just felt like this is annoying more than anything else, because I'm trying to hear what the characters are saying in the movie, and the audio is competing for my ears between Kurt Cobain's lyrics and the dialogue in the film. And I'm like, okay, is the dialogue just not important because I can't really hear it because I'm hearing the song? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the only thing that bothered me initially. So, Addicted Person asks, Achara, a serious question. Would you go nude if the role is serious and important?
Mostly, I do not have the inclination to do nude scenes. I've definitely turned down roles where I've been like, well, that nudity is not called for the story or for anything in this. It's just gratuitous. So no thanks. That's not for me. I think I would only really consider it if it was a very important, serious project or something that I really wanted to do. But I don't see that coming up.
I keep looking for an opportunity to do nudity in a movie. I'll do it for free.
Yeah?
I'm just kidding. Just flapping it about. Making music.
What did I watch recently where someone was... I saw someone's dong and I was like, what? Why?
Use the natural instrument that God gave all men to make music.
Oh, that's it.
All men have made that music at some point in their lives.
I saw Benedict Cumberbatch's dong. I saw Benedict Cumberbatch nude in Power of the Dog, and I was like, "But why though?" I did not need to see that. I did not need to see your shalonga ding dong.
Nobody ever needs to see that ever. Never. We saw Chris Pine completely naked in
butt shot. Just do the butt shot.
No, but we saw Chris Pine completely naked in that Scott.
Oh yeah, that I like that movie.
The Robert the Bruce movie.
Yeah, it was a good film.
And I was like, Chris Pine is a beautiful man, but no one needs to see that.
Well,
nobody needs to see that.
This is what I wonder. Are they wearing a fake dong when they're doing those scenes, or is it their actual shalonga ding dong?
I think they are wearing a fake thing, because the only time I feel like we've seen a real penis was in The Fisher King, when Robin Williams stripped down naked. I'm like, that looks real.
What about Viggo Mortensen's in Eastern
that was
Promises?
Real too. Yeah, that was real too. That was definitely real.
That was just cringy though, because you're fighting and you're naked and my balls are out.
You mean cringy? You mean cringy in a good way thoknow?
Yeah, in a good.
From it added to the scene because you're just so vulnerable. I don't want to fight with my balls out. I don't know. I cannot. Let me get some skivvies on before you sock me real quick.
The only reason I watched that scene was because of you. The only reason I watched that movie was because of you, actually.
It's one of the best fight scenes at that time ever.
You turned me on to that movie, and that instantly became one of my all-time favorite fight scenes. I'm like, I've never seen this before. This is truly vulnerable.
It was definitely different. I'd never seen anything like that.
You're in this slippery bathhouse, butt naked. These two jacked up ass dudes with knives are coming at you.
With knives. It's like, oh, just shoot me.
Yeah. I'm like,
don't do that.
That doesn't get more vulnerable than that. So, okay, we got some supers here.
Karan Walia.
Keeping all fans and naysayers in mind, does Batfleck movie still has... Oh, I read that already.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's one from Kunal.
As much as I don't like Ben Affleck's Batman, I would like to see him get a fair shot at playing Batman properly in subsequent chapters or stories, because he never really got a proper Batman. The Flash is getting his Flash movie.
Yeah.
I think Ben Affleck deserves a shot because he was promised one. He was promised to do his own movie where he got to direct it. I think he should still get one. DC is doing a very experimental thing right now where you can have all kinds of Batmans at the same time. Cool. Let's have our Ben Affleck Batman. As much as I don't like him, I think he deserves a shot at telling his story, because Ben Affleck is at his best when he's directing himself. When you just give him full reign.
Storyteller.
He's a good
Yeah,
storyteller.
he is a good storyteller.
So,
yeah.
Knappethor.
Don't forget Tom Hardy's nudity in Bronson. I didn't see Bronson.
I haven't seen that either. But yeah.
Tom Hardy strikes me as the person that would insist he be nude.
Oh, yeah.
Insist.
Yes. Must be.
I don't know if this is a joke.
And I
feel
will
like this
use
has
my
to be
real
a-
dong.
This has to be a joke. Vipul says the shittiest thing happened to me in the movie is Penguin turned me on.
What?
That's got to be a joke. There's no way. There's got to be a joke.
Hey, different strokes for different folks. Yes.
What turned you on? The waddling part? Like what? What exactly did it for you? Nolan has kept Kane so close to him. This is from Vedant Nambiar. Nolan has kept Kane so close to him and put him in so many of his films that he should be known as Michael Chained. Wow.
Well, yeah, they have. Honestly, though, like I feel like when you find the people that you enjoy working with, you just want to keep working with them, and because they get you, you get them. Yeah, there's a shorthand there, which is very pleasant. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I have to run to a meeting. So you guys, thanks so much for hanging with us, and hopefully you enjoyed our discussion and thoughts. Really appreciate y'all with the supers and people just hanging out, listening to us like a podcast. Whatever your participation is here, so glad you could be part of this conversation. Thank you again, and talk to you guys again soon. Hopefully we'll get another Robert Pattinson Batman soon.
Hopefully.
Hopefully before
5 years.
hopefully before this decade is over.
Yes.
So y'all be good. For those of you on the other side of the world, sleep well. For those of you over here, be productive.
Good morning.
All right, y'all, be good. Peace out.